I would ask my future self if mankind was able to cooperate with one another in order to avert the worst effects of global warming by the year 2050.
So Tony Iommi, the guitarist for Black Sabbath, the press comes down on his two fingers, his middle and ring finger. And in that moment, as he pulls back, he pulls the ends of his fingers off.
Contrary to all the other managers that would come on the air and they would say, let me tell you something. I'm the brain here, and I'm this, and I'm that. And Jimmy Hart was never spoke about himself. He always put the heat, he always put the importance on his proteges.
And that social and cultural climate is what gave birth to a lot of those genres. Look at the graffiti art that was on the trains when they were going by, the 7 train, the 6 train, the 4 train. Okay, these trains are now in museums.
For Secretary of State, I will go with JFK. And the reason I go with Kennedy is that Kennedy understood the international scene.
The reason why one should discuss financial matters and financial disparities, and that should be a focal point in romantic relationships, is that it tells your partner where your values lie.
I picked that really stood out in my life and really made an impact on me in many ways was space travel and the moon landing. I was 12 years old. My parents woke me up to watch live as Neil Armstrong took his first step on the moon and uttered the words, one small step for man, one big leap for mankind.
This is where people who maybe feel a little behind the power curve in life can build a heroic character, and in the framework with rules can actually become heroes for a few hours, whether it's you play every day, every week, every month.
Most people have more of an inclination to play sports than they do to be more cerebral or whatever. And so I think a lot of people, I know I did, I thought I was going to be a professional athlete.
That's a very good point. But why would higher life forms come and mutilate our cows or go after random farmers throughout the world? It makes zero sense.
Talking about being one, all of us being one. An article in the New York Times in the magazine section, it was about how we as humans don't just live on the earth, we are the earth.
Women also want to do things for their significant other as well, and to be seen as they can provide to the relationship and they can offer that protection, even if it's emotional protection, to their significant other.
So if you have a situation with another country and one country is succumbing to your power, what is in the cards? That country might just say, forget it, and I'll just hit the button.
When March Madness comes around, who's the one team that every single person knows on the planet is always going to be in that group represented no matter what happens? Duke. It's always Duke.
But to remind people of who Stagecoach Mary Fields was, that she was born a slave, and when she was 30 years old, that's when slavery was abolished, and she took straight off. I mean, she was out of there as quickly as she could be. Even left family behind, left her parents behind, left everybody behind.
What is good leadership? For me, it is selflessness. It is selflessness, and it's being able to reach in the dark and inspire someone when they are surrounded by fear and anxiety.
The jungles and the Hanoi Hilton, and the things that man went through, firing squad, execution.
The Harley Davidson captures the mystique and the aura that is Americana.
Here we go, guys and gals and pals. It is Wednesday night, and let me remind you that what is happening on Wednesday nights is nothing short of a phenomenon. Why? Because right now, the Team Challenge series is not only captivating the masses on Wednesday nights, but also on Saturdays, because this Saturday night, for the first time ever, guys, the Team Challenge will continue on the Green Room. That's right. Saturday night, 4th of July weekend. It is a special. It's an announcement I'm making right now. Of course, the celebrity tournament will be returning, as it has been every single Saturday night for 2.5 years without a break. But this 4th of July weekend, you guys and pals can let your friends know, the friends who watch on Saturday nights, the friends who watch the big celebrity tournament can find out what happens on Wednesday nights, because a Team Challenge matchup will be exclusive Saturday night, a brand new matchup. Tonight, we have Jacques Rougeau and TK and host Howard. We have former NBA GM Pete Babcock, TK and host Giselle. They'll be going at it. And guys, as you know, the way this thing works is it's the regular season right now. The team standings, if you look at them and you look at our flyers, you'll see that we just started this Team Challenge. There'll be about 10 matchups. Every team will eventually face every other team multiple times. And after 10 games or matchups or series, if you want to call them that, have essentially already been on full display and have aired, we will then go into a playoff round. The playoff round will feature 8 teams out of 10. 10 teams in total in this Team Challenge. 2 will not make it to the playoff round. 8 will make it to the playoff round. The top seed will face the 8th seed. The 2 will face the 7th seed. The 3 will face the 6th. The 4 will face the 5. But we are months away from that. So, that being said, guys and gals and pals, again, thank you for joining us. Let your friends and family know that this is absolutely free. This is a place where we have philosophical fun, and all the while, strangers do leave us friends. We give you limitless edutainment. That's where you take entertainment and education. And unlike my previous relationships, this is a marriage that works. So, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being here. Thanks for inviting us to your living room. And let me remind you that no one, and I say this with great pride because I take great pride in this, hats off to everybody that produces any content. But I would dare even The Tonight Show. I would dare Bill Maher. I would dare SNL to do what we do, knowing that we don't have the budget that they have. We don't take nights off. We don't take days off. We are about to celebrate our 250th consecutive episode of the mothership we know as the Green Room on Saturday nights. That's right. That's our home base. That place was built from the ground up. It is now home of the TCAN Celebrity Tournament, where as of now, it's official, 150 Hall of Famers from the world of sports, music, and wrestling, not to mention Oscar, Grammy, Tony, Emmy, Golden Globe, AMA, and WGA award winners and nominees are all eyeing the prize. But as you know, the real prize has everything to do with us, has everything to do with our shared humanity, our experiences, the topics that bring us close together. By the time we delve into the final topic, and I've heard this from the suits and ties themselves, they forget about the resume. They forget about the prestige. They forget about the prize. They're looking at 3 to 4 to 5 people having a conversation. And that's what I want to be captivated by. Conversation. I know you do as well, so you're in the right place. Guys, we've got a great match, but before I announce another huge bit of news, let me just remind you guys where we are right now. We are right now approaching the 4th of July weekend here in the U.S., but every year, 3 days before the U.S. of A. sets the skies alight with impressive fireworks, its friendly neighbor to the north pays tribute to its own origin story. I'm talking about Canada Day. A lot of Canadians celebrate the annual July 1st holiday much the same way Americans would approach Independence Day. They fly that gorgeous red maple leaf proudly. They wear the Canada-themed outfits. Some people paint their faces. Festivals and fireworks are all part of the proceedings. Whether you're in Vancouver, Toronto, Charlottetown, with barbecues and pancake breakfasts among the culinary traditions of the day. But guys, everyone's got an origin story, and so do we here in the US of A. And I hope that you guys celebrate 4th of July responsibly, because historically we're celebrating freedom from tyranny, the right to life, the right to liberty, the right to the pursuit of happiness. If a politician or politicians tell you otherwise, tell them to stuff it. Because at the end of the day, we have the right to honor the right to live in a democracy. We have the right to choose the sort of country we want to be. We have the right, guys and gals, and don't ever give that right up. When our government doesn't represent the people or the majority of the people in this country and what they want, maybe there's a problem with freedom. Maybe there's a problem with democracy. But just remind yourselves of the concept. How this country was built was pretty darn amazing. We've done a lot of things we're ashamed of. But when it comes to our values, when it comes to what we can be, maybe that's what we should celebrate. Celebrate what tomorrow could look like. Because you had a voice that resonated with the masses. Guys and gals, let's start with the festivities. I'm going to bring in our participants right now as we delve into another beautiful night of the Black Box. What time is it? It's time to dream lofty dreams, my friends. Frederick Douglass said, "The soul that is within me, no man can degrade." Our first guest is not only a third rounder in the most star-studded tournament of them all, but he's a dear friend and a man that places heavy emphasis on all things humane. There's so much to be said about this individual, as his kind expressions can reduce any man's stress. As a former NBA GM, this man guided many franchises to victories and success. He was general manager of the Clippers, the Nuggets, and the Hawks of Atlanta. He left each franchise better, as his presence was like a gift from dear old Santa. He became the GM of the Atlanta Hawks for 13 years, starting in 1990, from Dominique Spud Webb to Leitner, and of course the finger-waving Dikembe. The paper that he helped write for the White House should be consumed by the masses. If it were up to me, building character through sports would be taught in all the classes. He served on the committee to select the team and coaching staff for Dream Team 3, and yeah, they won the gold. His passion and knowledge of history and civil rights speak to me as I marvel at his mind. Maybe he'll convince me to give the New York Knicks another shot, although I don't watch that team no more, even if I was blind. Guys and gals, this man's presence is an absolute treat. He finds the best in people and is truly allergic to defeat. As my co-host on Intertwining Thoughts, his viewpoints are well worth a front row seat. He's multifaceted, diverse, and impactful like the mid-2000s Miami Heat. His heart is a champion, like an Olympic medal-winning athlete. Is he a favorite to win the entire tournament? He never takes a back seat. Put that in a tweet. So let's welcome a good friend and human being. Last name Babcock. First name Pete. Welcome, my friend, to the Team Challenge.
Thank you, Avi. I appreciate the understated introduction.
I'll try better next time.
No, you always are amazing. I don't know where this stuff comes from. You're incredible.
Comes from you, man. It's easy to think of this stuff when you've left behind such not only an incredible resume, but really your humanity. And I speak about this about every participant. There's one qualification, which is their own humanity. And you offer a lot of that here. Under this great umbrella, Pete, you've educated us. You've taught us a lot of things. You've taught me a lot of things off camera as well. Is the educational portion of what we do something that speaks to you?
Absolutely. Part of all this, this whole process of the tournament and the debates and everybody's trying to win a prize, but I look forward to just learning something every night.
Sure.
Just because I always pick up something from somebody every single night. So it's to me that's the most fun and most endearing part of the whole program that you put together, Avi.
Thank you, my friend. We've done it together. That's the key word. You're a huge part of this. You were around when we were building and building and building, and I want to say this live because I'm allowed to. Amazon Prime, guys and gals and pals, we are happy that they're taking this show seriously. We're happy that they're taking Saturday's show seriously and the network because come round 3, 6 episodes under their great umbrella. It's been, I get emotional when I think about it because there's been a lot of, as Pete always mentions in the intro that we play on Saturdays, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears put into this because I want to make sure that we can have captivating conversations that are void of any controversy, Pete, and I think we're doing it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's fun, it's entertaining, and educational, like you said. I mean, there's not a better format.
I think I'm going to ask you a question because you're very good at doing homework and also assigning it. Pete, why is abbreviation such a long word? I don't know. I don't know. I have no clue.
How does your mind work? How does that brain work anyway?
I don't know, my friend, but I'll tell you this much. I know how this show works. And again, I know that at the end of the day, we're going to have a lot of suits and ties, and viewers all say the same thing. Thank you for having Pete teach us something. You do that all the time. And I want to bring in your teammate right now, my friend, because we are ready to roll for this Team Challenge special, the 4th of July special, if you will. So, guys and gals and pals, I will keep Mr. Pete Babcock on screen right now as I bring in his teammate. Guys, love speaks a language that can never be translated to the cynical heart. Some captivate us and hold our attention as we marvel at their excellence from the very start. When artists paint, they express an inner truth that is brave, just, and right. Our next participant does that wholeheartedly, as she can make a dark world go right. She's a Renaissance woman that can do it all, yet remains humble and helpful, and that is a fact. Her presence is always a plus, a grateful addition, as she will never detract. As a co-host, she takes us through her vast array of experiences in this journey we call life. To know more, all you have to do is tune into her own show, Paper Knife. She swims oh so well, as she will never sink in any sand. I'll eternally be honored, guys and gals, as we all should, to embrace her and hold her hand. As a third-round participant, she's here to give us her 2 cents. So let's ring the bell and welcome in a wonderful storyteller, an artist, and human being, none other than Giselle. Welcome.
Hi. I don't know if I should laugh or cry after that. It was beautiful. Thank you so much.
We haven't found out the result of your match yet, Giselle. So let's hold our horses here. But we welcome you as well. And Pete and Giselle, anything you want to tell each other? You guys are such a great team. You guys already had one official team challenge match here on the Black Box. Are you guys looking forward to working again together tonight?
Yeah,
I definitely am.
I am. I'm definitely, because Giselle carries me, so it takes the pressure off quite a bit.
Well, thank you, but I feel the same way. I think I do my best when I'm paired with you, and I'm very grateful for this. So,
well, thank you.
100%. We're going to have a lot of fun, a lot of great categories and topics tonight. Mr. Babcock, Mr. Zell, I'm going to put you guys backstage and bring in the opposition.
Right.
Mr. Pete Babcock and Giselle. I cannot wait for this. This is going to be a lot of fun. What a great team they are. They're 1-0 in the standings, guys, and we are going to do that. Because we respect each other so much, it's like having a pickup basketball game. We all want to win at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, we're going to shake each other's hand. Why not? But right now, Pete and Giselle, 1-0. This is their second match. Jacques and Howard trying to catch up here, and I think a lot of people are very interested to see this dynamic between these two teams tonight, because Jacques, with his passion, I think that really kind of matches Howard's passion. They are two passionate people who tell stories so honestly and so well. Can't wait to see what they do tonight. Guys and gals and pals, dear diary, I speak of the word greatness and revel in its glory. Are we exposed to such greatness through hearsay, fable, or an amazing story? I've seen beautiful in the form of a man that once portrayed 4 characters under this umbrella, for goodness sake. If you overlooked his perseverance, you might end up sobbing on Ricky Lake. His stamina and timeless energy can eliminate the dreary and the gray, because he can outlast any marathon, any party, and even an overbearing holiday. His talent is noticeable upon first glance. The man can sing, tell stories, and even dance. He drives me nuts sometimes, but the man has a beautiful heart. In case you haven't noticed, he's been here from the very start. So take notice, every one of his excellence and presence you heard, as I welcome in the one and only Howard. Welcome.
Oh my God, you got me in the feels, Klein. Got me in the
How
feels.
are you tonight, and are you looking forward to this this matchup?
I am. We finally have the debut of the amazing Jacques, so I am ready to rock and roll.
This is the first time you guys are officially teaming tonight.
Yeah, I know it's been a long time coming, but hey, timing is everything, and I'm grateful he's here. I'm grateful everyone's here, but I'm ready to rock, man. Woo.
I am ready to roll as well. Let's keep you on screen, and let's bring in your partner. Guys and gals and pals, the real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. How about a world, guys, that is filled with questions? Isn't it quite comforting to know that there are simple answers when it comes to certain people? For instance, our next guest's honesty, his integrity, his word, his passion, and his compassion. There are no questions when it comes to all the above, because guys and gals and pals, he's a quality human being. He's a class act that has a heart of gold. His father was his hero and he experienced something unique when he was just 11 years old. He accompanied his father, who had a broken tibia, to the ring against Tarzan Tyler, but even as a youngster, he always sold. Imagine being privy to your father's grudge matches against Abdul the Butcher, a dastardly heel who in the ring would bring the doom and gloom, only to find out that he's chatting it up with your dad in your house in some other room. This is due to the fact that this participant grew up a part of wrestling royalty. 4 generations of legends that started with his great uncle. How about that for loyalty? At 17 years old, despite his father not being repetitive, he asked his mom for $350, and he went to Calgary to train for Stampede. The territories awaited, so in 78, he went somewhere that required speed, but indeed, his father would not have agreed. Louis Laram suggested that he wrestle in Mexico because the altitude and language barrier were challenges, but it helped him get into great shape, and he learned to do his infamous back flip. As athletic as he was just as entertaining on the mic with a quip, on-air showmanship, yet he maintained his honesty and would always shoot from the hip. Georgia, Alabama, Memphis, all stops where he would own his craft as he would continue to excel. Whether it was brother Armand or Raymond, he would gel with just about anyone and go bell to bell with athletic scores in the ring, which were quite the stories he would tell as he would help others propel. In 85, the WWF came calling during their heyday. For nearly a decade, he would become a top talent there, a definite mainstay. He won the IC title from the great Bret the Hitman Hart. He always knew how to reinvent himself and have a clean start. Legendary feuds with the Big Boss Man, including a storyline stint at an NYC jail. Later on, he and his partner Carl would win the tag titles 3 times, as they always seemed to prevail. Around the time we remember him in WCW, he would do what only a handful of human beings on Earth ever did in history. He pinned Hulk Hogan clean in the Molson Center. The reason for this is no mystery. It's because he's a class act, and he and his family are so respected, and that is well deserved. Let's not forget something that many who have seen the man behind the persona have personally observed. He's helped many kids, as his fight against bullying and discrimination is one reason why he's an absolute gift. His courage, guys and gals, is consistent. You can rely on it like a Michael Jordan free throw. Helping kids who have been bullied is his canvas, more beautiful than any Van Gogh. He's in the third round of this star-studded tournament, where he'll be sure to bring the gusto. All of you watching always bring up his name, and rightly so. He's a friend that I appreciate fully, as his class is something we can always see him bestow. He's sincere and genuine and can make you laugh like a mid-90s Ray Romano. They know his name around the world, from Glasgow to Monaco to Kosovo to Moscow. Even in the wintertime, his smile can melt the snow. So why don't you all grab a gyro and a glass of Merlot? I may not be a good combo, but regardless, I can tell you that you're all feeling quite gun-ho, as his impact is quite the presence, like Arnold kicking butt in Commando. Who am I bringing in? The mystery will be history. In a second, you'll know. You all might have figured it out already. This isn't a whodunit like Hitchcock's Vertigo, so get up and enjoy this ride like a Texan in a rodeo. Have you put the pieces together? You probably have. We figured it out, guys. It's as simple as a game of dominoes, and all the love to overflow as this Scorpio welcomes back a legend of a human being. First name Jacques, last name Rougeau. Welcome to the Team Challenge. Jacques. How are you feeling? Jacques, you look good in blue, my friend. I like blue on you.
Man, I'll tell you, you have me. My cheeks were hurting the whole time. I got to tell you, where did that guy go?
He's right here. He's kicking butt in life. He's kicking life.
You make it sound like I've accomplished so much in life. And, it's so funny because things that I've forgotten, as a matter of fact. And but you know what? The funniest thing for me tonight, I got to tell you guys, is you got the weak link here of all 4 of them. But anyway, I got to tell you, the funniest thing for me tonight, the sorriest thing is, Howard, you got me as your partner. But the funniest thing is that I wanted Giselle and Pete. They were my favorites to win this whole thing. So because they are so nice. They're so, there's so much great people. Pete, I heard him even before in the intro, like, when he was talking, and I'm saying, like, he was referring to the NBA players, like, today, and that he would have a hard time, to go to see the scouts and all that, who's being chosen and all that stuff. And he has the same life I had. I haven't watched a WWE show in 30 years, not one.
Wow.
And so a lot of people come up to me because I'm in my business of wrestling. I had my own company for 25 years, did my own little thing. People come up to me and, well, what do you think of so and so? And I'm going like, well, who's so and so? I don't even know. I go to Comic Cons today. I've been to a lot of Comic Cons in the last year, and it's so funny because you have all these important players that I haven't seen in 30 years, and sometimes, and they're so nice, and they come up to me and they say, "Hi, Mr. Rougeau, I just want to say hi to you, and it's nice to meet you." And then they turn around and leave, and then I ask the people who's collecting the money, when we take the pictures and stuff, I said, "Man, who's that?" And then the person who's collecting the money, she looks at me like, "You don't know who that is?" And and I look like such an idiot because I haven't watched wrestling in 30 years. But anyway, I'll have to say, Avi, I just want to finish by saying one thing, and then we could go on with the show. And because the best part is already past now. But anyway, I want you to know, Avi, that what you've done, and if I had some words of wisdom, some words to say about the show, I would repeat every word that Pete said at the beginning. I was listening to him talk about the show, and I couldn't express myself that way, but that's how I was feeling. The knowledge, the love, this show has made so much to improve the world today, and what you've accomplished, Avi. You have no idea, Avi, what you're doing because you're caught up in the mix of this. You have a show on Saturday, you have a show on Wednesday. You're working 36 hours a day, and you have no idea what you're accomplishing right now. You're close to a burnout. You don't even know it. But I'll have to say that you should see what you're leaving behind you right now, and I'm glad to see that Prime. I think it's Prime Time or Amazon or. They are taking interest in what you're doing, and I'm not surprised. And then you have no idea how far this is going to go.
I appreciate that, but I think that happens when you surround yourself with great people, and I've done that. You're an example of that. Howard is an example of that. Pete Babcock is, Giselle, and everybody else. You guys are giving me such excitement. So even when I'm down, and I'm sure you felt this way a lot of times when you were in the arena, it was probably a child's smile that made you forget how tired you were. It was something as simple as a child saying Jacques Rougeau or the Mountie, and I want to see him, the fabulous Rougeaus, right? That makes us forget our problems for a while, right, Jacques?
Amazing how we feed on our fans and on people.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're dead and out, and just one little word from someone kind. Then you get back in character, like, okay, you get back in the. That's why I'm doing it. And
it's incredible.
And I have a word for Giselle because Giselle speaks French, and you guys know that. So I wanted to say something to Giselle that probably America wouldn't understand, but so Giselle, I'm telling you, voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir?
I think everybody knows what that means because of the song, Jacques.
Really? Oh my God!
Well, guys, look at this. I could see Pete Babcock in the back, my good friend, going, "Wait a minute, what's Jacques trying to? The mind games, Pete. The mind games begin."
Giselle, I don't know.
Look at these tactics.
Not quite appropriate for prime time.
It's a famous song, actually, Lady Marmalade. It's the song Lady Marmalade that came out worldwide, I believe, now that you're saying it.
That's
and
right.
In that song, she was saying, "Would you like to sleep with me?" That was the song. But that word, that sentence, "Voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir?" Even a lot of people that speak English know that sentence. But and for those who don't know what it is, they still sing it anyway.
And Jacques, I got to ask Pete a question here to piggyback off this. Pete, do you think Jacques is trying to soften your team up a little bit right now? Is that what's happening right now?
There's a little bit of sandbagging going on. He likes to refer to himself as the weak link. I'm not so sure about that. I mean, I just, in fact, I'm pretty sure there's no weak link in Jacques anywhere. So
give it a little time. Give it a little time. Give it one show, and you'll see. I'm a better spectator at this show.
I don't know about that, man. You guys are bringing a lot to the table. Guys, here are your comments. The Cinema says, "Cinema Club, the show is fire. Thank you very much. Power Store, thank you, Natalie. I appreciate you. You are awesome. You and Jacques are both an incredible couple. The Real Soul couple, thank you for joining us. Real Soul Product, Guys, thank you for watching us. Christopher, nice to see you. We'll always pull up your comments. Here's what I want to do, guys. We are about to delve into this because we know the rules already, so I don't have to repeat them. I have the categories. Howard's going to select one. Jacques' going to select one. Pete's going to select one. Giselle's going to select one. In case you're watching, guys, concept is pretty simple. Once one of these participants delves into their chosen topic, they will essentially have the right to pass it on to their teammate. If their teammate, it's optional. If their teammate chooses to jump in when they're finished presenting, bonus points will be rewarded for their team. Well, if the opposition decides to also tackle that same topic, they'll get some bonus points. So, guys, it's a lot of fun. Again, in case you guys missed it on Saturday, we're really happy to say we're at 4.5 million views. Thank you. We're very humbled on YouTube, and we're also averaging about 100,000 per episode. Check out the channel. You'll see what we're doing on Saturday nights together as a team. And again, guys, picture's worth 1,000 words. What a great time we had on Saturday night right here, as you can see, with the great Michaela Skinner, and Robert Burke, Artist Gilmore. Every Saturday night, you'll be privy to some of the laughs that we have. Hopefully, you learn a lot as well. That's what we do here, and we will do it every single Wednesday and Saturday night. So, with that, let's tackle some of these categories. So, here's the thing. I'm going to have Howard and Jacques and Pete and Giselle pick a number from 1 to 10, because the person who does will select their category first before somebody else can. Howard, number from 1 to 10.
4.
No. Jacques.
Number 1.
Close, but no. Pete.
2.
No. Giselle.
9.
No. Howard.
8.
No. Jacques.
2. No, you
Nope.
said already. 6.
Nope. Pete.
I was going to pick 6. All right, 7.
7 is it, guys. Pete's going to go first. So, Pete, let me read you the categories before you find out your topic. Here are the categories for Pete. We have U.S. presidents, Canada's finest, music trivia, pro wrestling, poetry, or NBA.
U.S. presidents.
U.S. presidents. Pete picks U.S. presidents. So right now, I'm going to have Jacques pick his category. We have Canada's finest, music trivia, pro wrestling, poetry, or NBA.
I'm going to go with music.
Music trivia.
Yes.
Perfect. I'm going to jot this down here for Mr. Jacques Rougeau. Okay, and of course, Mr. Babcock did select U.S. presidents. Giselle, do you want me to read you those again?
No, I will go with poetry.
Giselle's going poetry. And Howard, do you want me to read you those, the categories that are left?
Oh, okay. I could do music too as well.
You cannot.
Okay, no, okay.
No.
I will do that's okay. I'll do pro wrestling.
Howard is going to do pro wrestling. There we go. Okay.
Love, Jack.
I'll be able
We
to
are
help
ready
you.
to go.
I'll be able to help you a bit.
So, guys, Pete Babcock is going to get a chance, like everyone else who presents. Once I read the topic aloud, Pete can go backstage for a few minutes just to organize his thoughts. So here is Mr. Babcock's category. Guys, again, thanks for sticking with us. Invite everybody to comment. There's that thing called the algorithm, and it helps us that you guys comment and share. It's free to do so. All right, here is the topic for Mr. Pete Babcock. He did select U.S. presidents. So, guys, feel free to play along in the comment section as well. For U.S. presidents, I once had a conversation with the son of a well-informed Japanese officer, and I asked him a question. In his opinion, what would have been the next major move if the war continued? World War II had continued. And he replied the U.S. probably would have tried to invade our homeland with a landing operation around November 1st. He thought the attack would have made probably a lot of headlines, and it would have. I asked him, would you have repelled this landing? And he said, it would have been a very desperate fight, but I do not think we could have stopped the U.S. Guys, it's easy now after the event to look back and say that Japan was already a beaten nation. To ask what, therefore, was the justification for the use of the atomic bomb to kill so many thousands of helpless Japanese in this inhumane way, we should have a better understanding about the weapon itself. So there's been an argument that's been advanced often, but it seems to be utterly futile. The facts are these. On July 26, 1945, there was an ultimatum called on Japan to surrender unconditionally. July 29th, Premier Suzuki issued a statement. He scorned at the notion of the surrender ultimatum, and he emphasized the increasing rate of Japanese aircraft production. 8 days later, on August 6th, the first atomic bomb was dropped in Hiroshima. The second was dropped on August 9th in Nagasaki. The following day, August 10th, Japan declared its intention to surrender. My question is as such: should these bombs have been dropped because the belief that Japanese surrender would have been imminent, or can you justify Truman's decision to drop the bomb twice? Again, should those bombs have been dropped? Could they have possibly not have been dropped because you feel like Japan's surrender would have been imminent? Or do you justify Truman's decision to drop the bomb twice? Guys, remember, one particular location, I won't give it away, there were a lot of civilians. Was that done intentionally? Again, that's the topic for Pete Babcock. The whys, right? Who are we to answer the whys? Historical context plays a role in this question. Where were we back then? What was our mentality? Are we privy to some of this information? Did we know that Japan was going to surrender? Many say yes, some say no. So, Pete, that is the topic for you, my friend. Were we justified in dropping those bombs, plural? And, of course, guys, Giselle, his teammate, once he's finished presenting, can jump in if she wants to. And then Howard and Jacques can do that as well. What I'm going to do now is put everyone backstage so you guys can kind of organize your thoughts, look up the topic, and I'll bring in our judges tonight. We'll have a conversation with them. So I'm going to put Pete Babcock backstage. I'll put Mr. Rougeau backstage. Howard is going to go backstage. And, of course, Giselle. Let's bring in Phil. Phil, how are you, my friend?
Hello, my buddy. How you doing tonight?
Good. You ready for the 4th of July, I could see?
Oh, yeah. Let's do.
Absolutely. We have a special judge, but you have to unmute your mic, Time, if you can. Just unmute the microphone because you are muted. There we go. Let's see if we can unmute that. Time, this is your first time judging. How are you tonight?
Great. How are you?
I am doing well. Thanks for asking. And Miranda. There we go. How are you, Miranda?
I'm doing okay, besides...
Oh, Phil over there.
Yeah, well,
you guys have a heated contest coming up soon. I want to bring up a question here for all of you. If you were to pick one of those categories, which would you have selected and why? While Pete and Jacques and Howard and Giselle can kind of do some research, organize their thoughts. Again, I call the Black Box the Wild West of TKN because unlike the celebrity tournament on Saturday nights where there's weeks of research being done, this is more, you have to be able to think on your feet. Now, starting with Phil, which of those categories do you think you would select?
I think I would have gone with the music trivia. I'm a big fan of music, so I'd wing it. Yeah.
Music trivia, yeah. Hopefully, in your case, you probably would have hoped that there would have been some 70s. You love 70s music, right?
70s was the best.
Why is that? Why do you think 70s music, in your opinion, was the best?
There was a big change in music where the creativity really blossomed, and a lot of great new subgenres of rock and roll came out. Of course, the blues came from the 60s and the 50s, right? Like the Allman Brothers and stuff like that. But then you had progressive rock, Rush, Yes, Kansas. You had heavy metal, Black Sabbath.
Really, the introduction of punk music in the U.S. as well.
CBGBs. I was down there a few times in the 70s.
Sure.
Couldn't beat that scene.
Some of the mainstays there were Deborah Harry in the 70s.
Yeah,
the late
Ramones.
David Johansen, who we just lost. David Johansen, we lost him.
Just lost him, yep.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Of course, the Ramones. Yes.
The Ramones, the Dictators, Talking Heads started down there. You know, there were a lot of...
speaking of Talking Heads, we're glad that we can delve into these topics that are not controversial because look at the humans who are presenting them. People who lead with kindness, the Pete Babcocks, the Jacques Rougeaus, and you guys as well.
Yep.
Miranda, which category would have spoken to you? Which do you think you would have selected?
These ones are kind of tough. I mean, I hate to agree with Phil, but I love music also. Poetry would have been very interesting also, I think. I love poetry.
Well, how about this, Miranda? Is there a topic you would have stayed away from? A category you would have stayed away from?
Probably the U.S. presidents.
U.S. presidents. Well, again, not much time to research. You're right. Time, what about you? It's so great to see you on screen for the first time judging. Time, which category would you think you would have selected?
I was going to go with poetry, but Miranda just stole it. So, so I'll have to. I don't know. Since you took that one, pro wrestling. Even though I don't know much about the history of all the people, but I definitely would love to educate myself on that subject.
I love that you said that because that's so cool that you would pick a category that you don't have a lot of knowledge about, because that is how we learn. That is how we grow. And then when you realize that these topics on paper, they might seem one-dimensional, but what are we talking about when it comes to pro wrestling, right? Which way am I going to go with these topics? So again, it's going to relate to everybody. I guarantee you, no matter what category you select, the topic is going to be relatable no matter what. Now, guys, I'm going to ask you this question as well. If you were to have the option of going first or second on your team, which would it be, Phil?
I'd go second.
You go second. You think what is it about going second that you think gives you an advantage in this?
You get to sit back for a few moments, see what your opponent does, get a feel for the environment. Put your toe in the water before you jump in.
Okay. How about you, Miranda? Do you concur?
It really depends on the topic. Sometimes going first can give you an advantage if you give more reasoning behind your thought process, and then kind of stumps the other person going second. But sometimes going second can be advantageous because, as Phil said, you get to see what the other person has done and kind of feed off of that, and also have the pressure more on the other person as well.
Yeah.
So
and before I go to time, I saw a question here, Miranda. I want to answer this question about Harry Truman, because this is U.S. presidents. There were 4 options that the U.S. had. And I remember talking about this with my dad, actually, before. Like, one of the last topics, one of the last conversations we had about history was about the bomb. There was invading Japan. That was an option. There was continue conventional bombing of Japanese cities. When I say conventional, dare I say, I don't want to use that word. There was demonstrating the bomb on an unpopulated island, or dropping the bomb on a Japanese city. So he had 4 options. And that's my question here. Was Harry Truman justified? Now, time, going back to you, if you had the option of going first or second, what would it be? Would you go first or second if you had that opportunity?
Definitely second.
Second as well? Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, to see what the other person says, yeah.
I got you. I'm going to bring in Mr. Babcock in a couple of minutes. We'll see what we have over here. Let me just say this to our viewers. You guys are the judges as well in the comment section. We need your votes. Again, when you vote for someone, unlike out there, voting in here is a good thing. It means you're telling the participant that they resonated with you, right? You want to make them feel good. You want to make them feel good because they're giving you their time. They're giving you respect, and we appreciate your respect for hanging out with us. So voting is a positive thing. Make sure you drop that vote in the comment section. I'll let you know when to do that, guys and gals and pals. I'll let you know when. But right now, I think I'm going to bring in Mr. Howard Collato. I'm going to bring in Jacques Rougeau. I'm going to bring in Giselle. I'm going to put in Pete in about a minute. The way to work is Pete will present with the opposition on screen. So Jacques and Howard will surround Pete on screen while he's presenting. And of course, guys, if they choose to rebut, this could still be done. If they choose to rebut while Pete is presenting, they could do that during his presentation if they choose to do so. That's optional, right? That's optional. Jazelle, real quick, but why don't we let the cat out of the bag? Do you think you're going to go ahead and try to see what you can contribute to this topic as well?
A lot of that might depend on what Mr. Babcock says, but if I have something to add, I certainly will.
Well, guys and gals and pals, I'm going to bring in the aforementioned Mr. Babcock. Here we go. Giselle, you're going to go backstage, and our judges as well. Thank you. We'll see you momentarily, right after this first topic. Thanks to the judges, Giselle as well. Here we go, guys and gals and pals. I'll read this topic one more time. I'll display it so everybody can read it as well. This is a very, very controversial topic when handled incorrectly, but we're not going to. This is who we are, guys. Let's present this. Should the bombs have been dropped because the surrender was not imminent? Should the bombs have been maybe not been dropped because we felt as if Japan was going to surrender? We'll see how Mr. Babcock approaches this. My friend, the floor is yours whenever you're ready to go.
All right. We're dealing with one of those theory versus reality dilemmas. I think Harry Truman had a pretty impossible decision to make of whether to drop the bomb or not. you look at that time, and sadly, in our country, there was a tremendous amount of discrimination towards Japanese Americans. In fact, I've got a good friend of mine who lives here in Newport who grew up in a relocation camp, and talking to him about his experiences and how his family never lived in Japan, but they were Japanese Americans. They had a successful business. The business was taken away from them. They lost their home, and they were forced to go to a relocation camp till the war was over. And he was born in the relocation camp. And it's just, so I'm prefacing this with the attitude in our country was sadly fairly anti-Japanese. When Truman became president, when FDR died and Truman became president, he inherited really an impossible situation. The war was winding down, but the decision was going to be how many American lives will be lost if we invade Japan. I think the prevailing thought historically was that we were going to win and we could invade, but how many lives would be lost, American lives would be lost, versus how many Japanese lives would be lost if we dropped the bomb. And again, so in theory, in my mind, in theory, I don't know there's ever a humane reason for using a nuclear weapon in any situation, with the devastation and the death that would result from it. That's the theory, and there's a strong sentiment of the theory, but the reality that Truman has to deal with is, okay, are we going to lose, 500,000 men and women trying to invade? How many innocent civilian Japanese will be killed if we drop the bomb? And the decision, and then he's also, FDR had just helped start the United Nations. Truman did an awful lot to promote the development of the United Nations, along with coincidentally a basketball player. His name was Ralph Bunchy from UCLA. In fact, he was the first black player at UCLA. Ends up being a PhD and was involved with all kinds of different things in the government. And he helped initiate the whole thing with the United Nations. I don't know that there's a good answer. All I can say is that the decision that Truman had to make, I don't know how he slept at night trying to make this decision, because you have the theory versus reality, and he's responsible for the lives of all these Americans who would be charged with invading Japan. And even if Truman says to himself, we're going to win, is it going to take a month? Is it going to take 2 months? How long is it going to take? How many men and women will we lose in that process versus ending this war quickly with the mass destruction of innocent civilians? So I just think he had one of the most impossible decisions a president's ever had to make. I don't know how, and going forward, I don't know how he dealt with it. But so I don't have a good answer as to what's the right or wrong. I just have, the way I look at it is theory versus reality, and you just have to decide, which one is going to play out.
Absolutely, Pete. I appreciate that. Thank you guys for your comments here as well. I'm glad that you guys are really locked into this particular topic, because it should get discussed. I mean, think about how we're right now a little bit over 80 years from the end of World War II. We're a little bit at 80 years, of course, a little bit past 50 years since the official end of the Vietnam War as well. So that is Mr. Pete Babcock. Let me bring in Giselle. And guys, before we start voting, Giselle, do you want to add to that?
I do. I feel like this is one of those topics, much like with literary or film criticism, where we very much look at it through a contemporary lens. And so we can automatically say there is no justification for this. But we do have to take a little bit into context the time. And I'm not saying that justifies it either, because certainly the way that the American citizens of Japanese descent were treated and sent to these internment camps and lost to their businesses. American citizens of Japanese descent were fighting for the United States of America while their families were interred in these relocation camps, in these internment camps. And according to the Atomic Heritage Foundation, the supporters do believe it would have prevented the invasion and saved more lives than it took, specifically American lives. Opponents say it was unnecessary and constituted war crimes. A lot of times when something like this happens or a natural disaster happens, we don't take into account the number of lives lost after the fact. How many lives were also lost due to radiation poisoning? How many lives were lost due to depression? How many lives were lost based on not being able to find their families or rebuilding these structures? And then knowingly bombing cities and inhabited populations as to dropping it as a show, which was a choice that he could have made as well, dropping it more on a deserted island type of place. I think there is a bit of an argument that he felt he was justified because he did, and this is according to the Truman Library, he sent out the Potsdam Declaration and he received no reply to that. And he didn't wait one day before he dropped the bomb. It had been, I believe it was about 10 days. After receiving no reply to that, that's when he decided to go ahead and make that call. Whether or not we should drop 2, I'm not going to get into that right now today. But that is what I have to that. I don't know if there's, much like Mr. Babcock, I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer. It depends on which lens we're looking through this and criticizing this, and did he make the best decision he could have with the information he had at the time?
Well, I'll float a question to Mr. Babcock and Giselle before I ask Howard and Jacques if they want to jump in. This is not something that gets glossed over too often. When I write these out, essentially, these are my words. I put it away. So sometimes I don't write something that I remember later on, and I've remembered something now that I didn't bring up earlier. It was the fact that, I can't remember the dates, but in early August, there was a Soviet invasion of Manchuria. And rather than the use of the atomic bomb, it was that probably precipitated Japan's surrender, more so than anything else. So surrender, is surrender the only criteria? Meaning, a lot of traditionalists have maintained that the bombs were necessary. They said, we have to save American lives because if there was an invasion, that may have cost many more lives than even the bombs took. So are you looking at traditionalists and their opinions as being revisionist? Or again, is it a sign of the times? Did what we deem acceptable in 1945 change? Was it acceptable to not take any chance of an invasion and send a message by dropping a bomb, not once but twice? Was that deemed more acceptable in 1945 than perhaps it would be today? That's my question for you guys, for Pete and Giselle.
Well, I mean, again, you have to go with theory because I wasn't alive in 1945, but what we know about our country in 1945, I would say probably you say that the time was so different than today. When sometimes it's almost like comparing. People will ask sometimes who the greatest player in history is, in your given sport, and it's like it's an impossible question to answer because every generation is different. The parameters are different. Everything's different. So
what about the historic rationale? Because I always like to say, even to storytellers and actors, we have to ask the whys. So the rationale being, why are you doing this? the motives for dropping the bomb. Were the motives crystal clear, whether or not we agree with him, Pete? Were the motives crystal clear?
Well, I don't know if anything was crystal clear. I think that's why Truman had such an impossible decision to make. I mean, put yourself in his position. It's like you're one person in the world that's going to make the decision. Do you say yes or no? I mean, it's like, and again, you're weighing what you know at the time and what you theorized at the time, and so you're theorizing if we invade. And I forget the other parts of this, Manchuria and anything else, but if we were to invade Japan, how many people are we going to lose? How long is it going to take? How many families will be destroyed because of it?
And is it
all
necessary?
the ramifications. So is and so is it something that has to be done? And again, I would say any weapon of mass destruction is horrendous, and that's why JFK worked so hard to try to end the nuclear standoff with Russia and just cut back rather than continue to build. And
if you think about it, Pete, like they were, or I hate to use this term, against the ropes, but they were hampered prior. I mean, their losses at Iwo Jima and Okinawa was staggering. Their Navy hadn't existed at that point because of that. Their Navy ceased to exist, essentially. So were they reeling? Yes, they were reeling. Was it a political statement? A lot of people, some say yes, and some say that we didn't want to take any chances as a country, not more or less because we felt like Japan was a threat, but they felt as if they wouldn't. And I remember Truman saying this when they had asked him, and again, these are documented sources that I would love to bring up if someone were to ask me where they came from. But Harry Truman was quoted as to saying that he never necessarily felt that the U.S. was responsible for being the first to use the bomb, but he felt as if they wouldn't, that they would be susceptible to an attack because they didn't use the bomb, meaning other countries would see that as a bit of a weakness. It's so interesting that Pete led with, can you imagine being Harry Truman and having to make this decision? Jeez Louise, being Harry Truman. I will ask Howard and Jacques if they want to jump in and contribute as well. So, Miranda, if we can tally back there, thank you for tallying, because right now we already know that due to Giselle's participation, there are bonus points. Howard and Jacques can get bonus points if they jump in. Do you guys want to jump in?
Yes, we do. I'm sure we do. I can't wait to jump over the top rope. Now, let's see.
Howard, is it okay to give Jacques the hot tag so we can start? Okay.
Yeah, go.
I'd rather start, Howard, because you're going to come up with the smart things to say. I'm just going to come up with that. So let me put this into my world.
Okay.
Like Pete, you were trying to bring it into the best player. I'm going to go there somewhere like that. And what I know, and the only thing I know in life is wrestling. So I'm going to go and I'm going to compare things. In my younger days, my dad was a wrestler, and my uncle was a wrestler. My great uncle were wrestlers, and I remember being very young, going to the Montreal Forum, and the best matches that I've seen was against, like, my father against Tor Kamara, or Gypsy Joe, or Saito. And because there was always those Japanese wrestlers that would come in. Now we're talking another era now. We're talking an era where there's a lot of prejudice, a lot of countries going against countries. It's a different time. But I was brought up in there. And what I want to share with you is pretty funny, but the Japanese, I hated them so much because they were so hypocrite. They were so sneaky. And they would have their Saltville bags in their pockets, and they throw into the eyes of the opponent, when the referee wasn't looking. But they were known to be so sneaky. And when you look at wrestling, the best character you could bring into a wrestler, if he goes into a persona or a character, is bringing it closer to what he is in real life. If you portray a character that you're really like that in life, but you're just changing it a little bit, you're going to be really good at it. Because you're going to go find some emotions and things that are deep inside of you, and you're going to bring them out with a little bit of exaggeration. So that being said, me being watching all these movies of Pearl Harbor and the way they came across and the way they sneaked, the way they were cheating and the way you couldn't trust them. So I'm saying that Truman did the right thing, because if they were like that in real life, if they were sneaky, like Pearl Harbor, and if they were like that kind of people, then you can't take a chance on just taking the word, because so many times Saito, Kamala, and all those guys looked at my dad and they went like, oh, yes. But they didn't mean it. So for me, it's easy choice for me, narrow-minded like I am. I'm going to say it's a good thing that he dropped the bomb on them.
Well, guys and gals and pals, again, everyone's perspective, we respect it. Howard Collado, do you want to offer yours?
Yeah, and it was something you kind of hit on a little bit, actually, Avi. Shortly thereafter, we entered the Cold War with Russia. And, I think there's something to be said about the fact that the world was watching, and one of the superpowers that was watching that was one of our allies was Russia. So that argument about, you have to show that you got to show and exert that kind of strength. There's something to be said about
You're
that.
saying that there were two superpowers left at that point, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And that perhaps if you don't flex your muscle, then the other superpower might perceive that as a weakness.
Yes. And I'm going to preface it with a couple things. First of all, a president takes a vow to protect the nation, its constitution, its ideas, and everything it stands for. That, I think, has to be taken into account. And also, look, on a personal level, I'm first generation Dominican American. The idea that you're going to relocate a certain group and put them somewhere, it's horrific to me. So I'm not at all advocating that. But that said, those are the two things I've been thinking about. Russia was watching. Russia, I'm sure, was looking at us, and I'm sure perhaps even planning, where are U.S. weaknesses? So I think to exert that kind of strength might have deterred, or might that made them re-question perhaps how they would approach us.
Do Pete and Giselle want to add something, either rebutting Howard or Jacques, or add any of their own thoughts before we bring the judges in?
No, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Giselle? I'd like to add a little something, because Howard, there was a word I forgot to put in the way I was looking at things. I think you made me realize something that I was saying. It's a matter of, unfortunately, you're living in a world that there's different powers everywhere, and you have to show the world that you're not an easy pushover. You have to show some kind of showing the other countries that, hey, you mess with us, we're not going to let us just crumble and fall. We're going to do something about it. And I think the word I was looking for maybe is respect, or maybe to be respected, to be not be afraid of, but in a way, just don't. I guess I could say it in my own little mind. It's like, you better be afraid of the United States. If you want to come mess with the United States, you're going to get some retribution. And I think that's why Truman did the right thing.
I did this with Pete and Giselle. I'll do the same thing with Howard and Jacques, just not really playing devil's advocate, but offering a counter perspective. Is there a responsibility for a superpower when it comes to setting precedents? Meaning, we all know what happened since then, since 1945, but should that have been taken into account? If we do drop these bombs, maybe this is how other countries solve problems, if they have access, of course, to these weapons. Is that something that should have been taken into consideration, do you think?
Wow, that's a good question. That when you think about it, how many wars in history has ever been a winner?
Right.
I think we've talked about this before, but I don't think you have somebody who's declared the winner, but I don't think anybody ever wins in a war. It's just it's a tragic part of humanity, and it's sad that mankind hasn't developed past that stage where that becomes the remedy for how to deal with a problem. It's just like, the whole theory of the United Nations is let's get together and talk through our problems and solve our problems diplomatically and in a peaceful manner. You wish that would be reality rather than nations attacking one another. It's like humanity just has not evolved like you would hope that they would. So I don't know.
There's another thing that comes to mind, Pete, that I'm thinking too. I'm thinking of all the years that have passed, the last 10 years, 20 years. I don't know about you guys, and I'm just saying this out of my, but I don't want to name the nationality, but there's one nationality that scares me a lot with the bomb. Like, you know, and you're thinking like a lot of people could come and just, everybody's afraid that this smaller country is going to put their hands on a bomb or something like that and let you have it. I don't know if you could read between the lines of what I'm saying, because I don't want to be unpolitically correct, but I'm afraid personally that the wrong person's going to put the hands on something so powerful, which may not be like we're talking about Russia or United States or Japanese, but a smaller country that could go ahead and have that kind of power. That's something that's been scaring me for the last 10, 20 years.
And that's exactly why I keep going back to JFK, but that's exactly why he was working. He felt so strongly about disarmament as being the way we should go forward in the future, because like nobody should have these weapons, you know, so that it doesn't fall in the hands of some irresponsible individual. Like, just don't have them. They shouldn't exist. And we should destroy the stockpiles that we have, everybody. That was, there's all kinds of theories about his assassination, which is a whole other topic. But there are people that think that maybe that had something to do with his elimination, is that because he was fighting so hard for that and the Cuban issue and so forth. But anyway, we're getting on to other topics. But
no, and it's so interesting you bring that up, because at the time it was so uncommon for the U.S. president to be considered that irresponsible of a person. We forget how we celebrated our presidents, and we forget as well their reputation. It's so interesting that now, when we fast forward 80 years later, the criticism that we hear about U.S. presidents, or our current U.S. president, or even the previous U.S. president, they're a bit more severe than they were back then. And I wonder why that was. There's a lot of theories about that. But guys, as Pete said, we can delve into some other topics at a later time. The great thing about the team challenge is different topics every single Wednesday night. So let's bring in our judges. And again, please, judges, be very, very detailed as to who you're voting for and why, what spoke to you, why are you placing this vote, and those in the comment section as well. Please cast your vote now. We will tally them. Let's bring in Phil and see who he votes for and why first. Phil, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Let me take these off so I can read my notes. Let me start off by saying a real quick little thing here, talking about the bomb. I had an uncle-in-law. He married one of my Sicilian aunts, was a scientist, and he got called by the government to work on the Manhattan Project, working on the bomb. It almost cost him his life. He couldn't tell anybody where he was going. Sure. He can't just walk home a couple of months later, and all my Sicilian uncles with the knives, then he told them what he was doing. They were very proud of him. In any event, they say the two sides to every story. This one has about 12 sides. Starting with Mr. Babcock, to say that it was an impossible decision is an understatement. And of course, the relocation camps was a horrible, horrible thing. No excuse. Can't justify it in any way. But you're also right that Truman had to consider all the alternatives. If he invaded, how many American lives would be lost? And the estimates, from what I remember from history classes, the numbers were staggering. The numbers of Japanese that would have been killed if the U.S. invaded was staggering, because they were not the type of people that would have given up. They would have died fighting or taken their own lives. Giselle brought up some very good points. Looking at the events of the past through today's lens, in other words, hindsight is always 20/20. That's a brilliant, brilliant point. And Jacques bringing up his experiences in wrestling with Japanese wrestlers and what he knew of the Japanese people with Pearl Harbor, all these other things, the sneak attacks, all this other stuff. Could you trust them? No. And Howard, absolutely. At that point, the world was watching, Russia in particular, and a show of strength, I agree with you, was necessary. Unfortunate, but necessary. All in all, my vote's going to go to Mr. Pete Babcock. He really summed up everything in total honesty. There is no answer. And I really appreciate that. So my vote goes to Pete Babcock.
Appreciate that, Phil. Thank you. We will tally in the back, Pete Babcock and Giselle. And let's bring in Time. Time, if you could unmute your microphone. And I know it's your first time, so no worries. You could always leave it unmuted when you're backstage. Not a problem. Who do you vote for and why, Time?
Gosh, this was so hard. Pete has some really good points at how he couldn't make that decision. What would you feel like if you were in his shoes? I mean, how could you understand what Truman was really feeling? That was a good point. Giselle's point about how she looked through the lens of today. So then how could we know how much effect it would have? We still are having effects from the Hiroshima, from the powder and everything to this day. I mean, there's still health issues from it. People are still experiencing from that. So there's still people dying today. We don't even know exactly how many people were affected by that bomb that we did. And how upset the Japanese was over it. They would never let that go. They just would not let that go. They still hate us to this day over it. And they will never accept that as an apology either. They'll never be the same with us. They just never have gotten over it. And to make a point because everybody's watching, I could see that point too when Howard was saying, I mean, just everybody's points were on key tonight, but I'm gonna have to go with definitely have to go with Pete because there is no way that you could really make a decision either way. I mean, you could not understand what Truman was going through at that point unless you were him. And we don't know what exactly is going on back there because they're not allowed to tell us. So how would we really know what was going on? We didn't. So I have to go with Pete.
Absolutely appreciate that. And one of our viewers asked a question. And to answer that question a bit earlier, you're voting essentially on who presented in a fashion that resonated with you. You may not agree with where they went, but did they resonate with you? Who resonated most with you and why? You have your own criteria. Depth might be one. Was it informative? Was it passionate? You each have your own criteria, but you're not voting based on whether you agree with the yes or the no. You're voting on who you think presented in such a way that resonated with you. Thank you, Tom. I appreciate you.
You did resonate, yes, very much so.
Appreciate that. Absolutely. Thank you as well. And Miranda, who do you vote for and why? Hello, Ed. Nice to see you.
Hey, Ed.
Hey, Ed.
So this topic was very interesting for sure, and what a devastating event all around that happened. I think Pete did a great job at explaining exactly what happened and also giving his perspective, Pete's perspective, his perspective on how he would have felt if he had to make this kind of decision, because it is an incredible decision and affected so many people's lives. And Giselle gave some really good input too on we don't know exactly how many people's lives this took or affected because of the aftermath of what had happened, not only the people that passed away in the event, but what had happened after that. And I appreciate you mentioning depression as well and relocating and all the stress that had added to, because that is horrifying thing that anyone would have to go through. I also appreciated Jacques' input, how personal he went too with the wrestling, that you witnessed some of these attributes or things firsthand. And Howard as well gave some really good input. But I think overall, Pete definitely took this one. Every time Pete tackles a history topic, you nail it. So I learned so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Miranda. We appreciate that. And thank you. Thanks for tallying as well. We got another vote here to tally, Miranda, from Joe, so I appreciate that.
Gotcha.
guys and gals and pals, this is all cumulative, so we'll see how this thing goes. And right now, I am looking at the vote here in the chat. Okay, so this is where we stand. I won't announce that, but at least I can see. All right, guys, here we go. Our second category. So we're going to rotate things out. We are now going to ask the team of Jacques and Howard, who wants to go first?
It's up to you, Howard.
Yeah, I'll go. I'll jump in.
You go first, Howard. So, Howard, you chose pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Okay, so here is your topic, Howard, as I read this out loud. Howard, if you can, just remind our viewers, you weren't privy to these categories, let alone the topics.
No, not at all.
So, again, let's give a hand to these participants who had no idea. Pete and Giselle and Jacques and Howard had no clue. And they were giving it their all. Howard, here is the topic as I unpack pro wrestling. I don't like having to choose, but I want you to make a case for one. And let me explain. In the world of pro wrestling, you have referees. And they often act as the unsung heroes. They ensure the fair play. They maintain the order. They contribute to the flow of the match. The referee is like the third wrestler in the ring, if you think about that. There are three of them, right? There are the two workers, and then you have the ref. They're responsible for making quick decisions. They keep the action intense. They also ensure the safety of the wrestlers. But Howard, if you were to do without a referee over a camera operator who is able to capture the very essence of the match through various camera angles, if the budget, of course, allows it to, telling a story through the lens of a camera in a pro wrestling arena can tell and illustrate quite the story. The camera is able to capture movement. The camera is able to capture the enthusiasm that the audience is able to demonstrate by watching this live performance. Howard, if you could select one and only one group of unsung heroes from pro wrestling of the following, which would they be and why? Referees or camera operators? Please make a case. I will put you backstage. I'll put everyone backstage for this one as well, so you can gather your thoughts. Mr. Babcock, Giselle as well, Mr. Rougeau. Let's bring in our judges. Let's bring in Miranda. Let's bring in Time. Let's bring in Phil. We can now talk about the topic we just had. And Will, thank you. Pete has your vote. We can tally that as well.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Thank you for doing that, Miranda. And the Cinema Club. Everyone said well, but I would definitely go for Pete.
That's right.
Thank you so much for your vote as well. We will tally that. Thanks, Miranda, for doing that. Guys, in case you missed it, we just opened up with a topic as it pertains to this Team Challenge series. You never know what it might be, but we did unpack the Harry S. Truman debate that's been raging for decades. I have to ask this question about that particular topic. How much of making a decision like that is rooted in an emotional response? If you hear something like this and you react to it emotionally, as a presenter, do you let that emotion guide you? Or do you keep your emotions in check, go straight to the facts if you can to formulate an opinion? Again, are you driven by emotion or by facts when you're presenting? Jump in here, guys.
When we're in the challenge?
When you are presenting, yes.
Right. I think it should be maybe mostly driven by facts, but I like putting in your own input as well, because then you show like a personal side or a connection with the topic that maybe others don't have, and they get
What
to
if
see
you
it
don't
differently.
connect to the topic on an emotional level, Miranda?
Mhm.
What then?
That's also something to maybe delve into as well, what you would want to learn more about, or what you would want to try to understand about this topic if you don't connect to it. I think that facts should lead the way, but just as Pete gave his emotional side as well as the facts, stating that he doesn't know how he could have made this type of decision, that it's an impossible decision. And I feel like that resonates with a lot of people, that it would be.
Yeah, go ahead, Miranda, please.
It would be a very difficult decision on what to do.
Yeah.
Or it resonated with me. So
I almost feel like it's easy to react emotional when we're talking about human lives, right? I mean, regardless. of any human life. And I
Yeah.
saw both perspectives. I was listening, and I listened to Jacques and Pete and Howard and Giselle, and I was, again, blown away and grateful, by the way, that I didn't have to judge. You guys did. Phil, what about it, Phil? If there's a topic presented to you, regardless of the topic, do you find yourself leading with emotion?
I think as a human being, emotion plays a very big part in what we do, what we feel, and can lead us. I think you have to balance it so that it's not all emotion. Take your facts, and if it is something you are very concerned about, passionate about, emotion, let the emotion drive you.
Has that ever presented itself as a challenge for you, Miranda? And we'll get to time in a second. Miranda and Phil, you've been on this stage presenting. Has that ever been a detriment? Have you ever found yourself not being able to keep your emotions at bay?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
It
Would you want to
probably
share that
has.
with us, guys? You want to share that?
Sure.
Do you remember when that happened?
When I had my match, my second chance bowl match with the great Glacial Ray Lloyd and the amazing Matt Dr. Fink.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm talking about my niece.
Sure.
Even now I can't talk. It just kills me. It's very hard to, talk about something so close. So you have to sort of take a step back.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard. But that's what we do. We love it.
Time as a viewer, let me ask you this, Time. When you're watching these shows, and we appreciate you commenting, what do you look for? What do you look for when you see a participant presenting?
Definitely the emotional side that resonates with them the most. How they generate that into the factual. It's the emotion that gets me.
Yeah.
Like the other day when we had, what was the Olympic name? The girl that we just had last week.
Michaela.
Oh, Michaela Skinner.
Yeah, Michaela just, oh my gosh, her emotions, I could feel them, I could see them.
Yeah.
I just was there with her, and I just, that's what got me.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to get your perspectives, guys. You're doing a great job judging. I'll put you backstage and bring in Mr. Howard Collado. He's ready to present this topic. Of course, guys, Howard is going to be on screen opposite Pete Babcock and Giselle. So let's bring in Giselle and Pete Babcock. Howard, here you go. Mr. Babcock. Of course, Howard, this is the question I have for you. I'm not talking about who's more valuable than the other. That'll be a silly question. But in your case, if you could select, and that's your choice, if you could select one and only one group of unsung heroes from pro wrestling, who would they be and why? Referees or camera operators? Howard, the floor is yours.
Okay, so first and foremost, I'm going to make an argument for a referee. Now, while yes, I understand a camera operator is visually bringing you the story, and that's very important, because if you can't see it, then, I guess you could hear it through some other means, maybe audio, but to me, the referee is almost like the assistant director. They keep cohesion in a match. There's in-ring communication that has to happen at every moment between the people in the back in the gorilla position and the referee. And that referee has to make sure that he is hearing all the directions that someone in the back is asking him to do. They keep safety, right? They're the safety monitor. God forbid a performer deals with an injury live. The referee has to find a way to communicate that in the back. And also sometimes the back might let them know to call an audible, and he has to find a way to communicate that to the performers, the wrestlers in that ring. If you don't have a effective referee that's able to do that, then you're putting the person with the injury in harm's way, and also the other performer. So they keep safety. They're very much the enforcers of safety. And also they are the rule enforcers, meaning, they add a realism by, by making a count, by when someone gets pinned, they do a counting. Sometimes they add to a story. There's many matches where, the hero's winning, and all of a sudden he gets thrown into the referee, and the referee is down for the count. And the whole audience pops, and oh my God, what's going to happen now? The referee's not watching the match. The bad guy's going to win, or is he going to win? So the referee becomes also a very crucial part of the storytelling of a match. Ultimately, a referee is there for safety, communication, and also the pacing of the match. If a match is perhaps going too quickly, maybe the performers are nervous, and the individuals in the back want them to slow down a match, that's going to be communicated through a referee. So the referee to me is so vital, so important, because they're there for the storytelling. They're adding to the storytelling every moment. Sometimes, again, there might be a decision to change a finish, because they're also taking in the crowd. Right? Sometimes a crowd might not be supporting the quote unquote good guy, right? They might turn, they might be supporting the bad guy. And you have to be able to read a live audience and tell a referee, hey, we're going to be changing this. So this is what I want, the two performers to do. And the challenge of that, right? Because it's you never see a referee just kind of, giving that direction. There's kind of a sly way that they do that. Whether it's, as they're pinning, perhaps they're talking to the wrestler themselves, there's ways that they communicate that's challenging, that they have to make sure that it comes across in a very subtle yet direct. I mean, think about that. And also take into account that there's screaming fans, right? The screaming fans, 30, 20,000, depending on the arena. And they have to be able to communicate in a subtle way that's not too obvious to these two performers. That is a really challenging job. While, yes, camera operators have to bring the visual of the match to life, and there's something beautiful to be said about capturing a facial expression, right, of a particular wrestler, right? But if the moments that preceded that facial expression, that nonverbal, were not planned accordingly, then that nonverbal that he's now delivering, maybe as a result of winning, it loses something, because the moment before wasn't fluid, right? The story wasn't being told. So ultimately, to me, the referees are so crucial because they are such a important part of the storytelling. I want to give you an example, quick example. There's a very famous match with Bret Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin. In that match, Shamrock, who was a guest judge, he kind of got involved in some of the action, but there were moments where I'm sure he had to be directed and told and had to communicate with both of those wrestlers in the ring to let them know where and what direction to take the match. There have been many famous injuries where they had to stop a match, and I believe they still do this. There's that very famous X that referees will put their hand up to indicate that we have to stop because someone is legitimately injured. So referees are important and crucial part of the storytelling in any match, and I think they are invaluable.
Tell you what, you might need a referee, because based on the gaze of a Giselle and a Pete Babcock, they look like they're ready to pounce on you in the wrestling ring, Howard. Maybe. Oh, wait, hold on. You might get a hot tag. Jacques is coming for the save. There's Jacques. Jacques Rougeau, who, by the way, is a tag team specialist as well. Mr. Rougeau, Howard, do you want to offer Jacques the hot tags to get his perspective?
Oh, you betcha butt.
There we go, Mr. Rougeau.
I got to tell you, Howard, you did a hell of a job. You really did. For a guy on the outside like that, I'm just amazed by all the things the knowledge that you know. But I'm going to go in a little deeper now. I'm going to go into the heart of things. Like you said, Avima, I was a specialist in tag team wrestling. And first of all, I'm going to say a few things really fast. The referee is definitely more important than the cameraman. And that I know that for a fact. Because when I was wrestling tag team, Raymond, my brother, and I, we were the fabulous Rougeau brothers. And we came in with two little American flags, and we were laughing at Americans, and we were Quebecers, and we're having a blast doing it. It was just so natural for us to do it, to get that heat. We were so much, people hated us so much. But where we got the most heat in our match, and if you talk to Jimmy Hart, the greatest manager of all time, he always says, and ask him any place, anytime, my favorite tag team in the world was the Rougeau brothers. Because the Rougeau brothers, they knew how to get some heat. And how you get heat is you don't make the referee look stupid. In other words, if you're going to do, take that out of there, Avi. I want to have the facial expression of everybody here. It's important to me. I just want you to know, when you're in the ring, and going back to what Jimmy said about getting heat, to create Batman, you need a great Joker. And to create a hero, you need a great villain. And the greatest villains in wrestling were the ones that were making the people mad, but not insulting their intelligence. So what we'd do, we'd have this special referee, the great referee, who always made sure that we always double teamed or cheated behind the referee's back to make sure that when the referee turns around, hey, I'm okay. And the people are screaming like mad. Those guys were two on him. But when the referee turned around, I was alone in the ring. They didn't see nothing. And the referee had to be at the right place at the right time. He was such an important key to create that heat. And more that we were doing that behind the referee's back, making the referee look intelligent, because sometimes we'd do something like, for example, we'd be in a tag match where I'd be like, example, we'd have Bret Hart on the floor, we're beating his butt down, and we got Jim the Anvil in the corner who's dying to get in the ring to save the day. And so we'd have Bret beaten up so bad down on the floor, and then finally he'd get close to tag his partner, so then my brother would run in, and the referee would go with my brother to say, hey, you're not out in the ring. And in the meantime, Bret would tag his partner to come in and do the damage, but the referee would turn around right away, and he'd see the illegal partner coming in when they did make the tag, but in fact, they never saw it. And because my brother was keeping him busy. And those referees were so important and creative. And that's why Jimmy Hart always said the best tag team in the world to get heat is the Rougeau brothers, because they don't. So the people were not mad at the referees. They were mad at us because they were saying those cheap no goods, they're cheap. But they weren't mad at the referee because it wasn't like the referee saw it and ignored it. The referee, we were too fast for the referee, but we weren't too fast for the referee. The referee just did a great job at being at the right place at the right time. Now, I'm going to bring another point. You're talking about TV angles. Sometimes when you're in a match, because I'm not saying that cameramen are not important. If you're going to do them, especially if you're editing, if you're putting a wrestling show or weekly on TV, they have time to edit the shows. So you got to think that if a guy's coming up on the second rope for a drop kick, and he's coming up and he's going to hit the guy in the face, and for some reason or another, he misses him by this much. Well, when they go into editing, they're going to make sure that that camera comes when the guy's coming off with the feet in the guy's face, but before the contact, they're going to switch cameras where you're not going to see that he missed him that much. So the camera, the angles are very, very important too in a match, but not as much as the referee. So Howard, you pinpointed that. They're the third man. They're the man who's also going to have the thing in the ear. They're also the man who's going to say, guys, we're on a pay-per-view. We have so much time. Let's go home. You're going too long. We got to cut the time. There's time frames for commercials, for different things. So the referees are a major, major factor. They're the most important man in the match.
Perhaps I just thought of this, Jacques. I don't know if you might agree with this, but maybe they serve as the unnoticed backbone of the match, right? They are the backbone, perhaps, of the match.
It makes the difference in the world. It makes the difference in the world if you have a good referee or a bad referee. You can have the same match, and if you have a bad referee, you'll have an ordinary match. If you have a great referee, you have the best match of the night.
And right, they're also like the conduits of communication between the wrestlers. So they're keeping track of the time that's been allotted for each match as well. So they're multitasking. They're doing.
So guys, if you want to rebout, now it's time.
Well, guys, I'll say this much. Pete Babcock and Giselle, hey, here's the perspective you can take. You don't have to really talk about the refs. You can talk about the camera operators. But I'm sure at some point you guys have watched wrestling. You've clicked the old, turn on the old boob tube and flip the channels. As a fan, strictly as a fan, guys, what do you think? What do you place heavy emphasis on between the two? We're talking referees. We're talking camera operators. Do Giselle and Pete want to jump in and get some bonus points as well on this topic?
Yeah, I'd like to add one thing.
Please.
So, Jacques, obviously wrestlers are more intelligent than basketball players because we have to have 3 referees.
Yes.
In ours, you guys only have 1 referee. We have to have 3 to figure things out, right? So, you guys are,
Pete, I remember the days when there were only 2 referees. Do you remember those?
I do too. But we have to have 3 to figure it out. And we have, in an NBA game, we have camera angles all over the place. Every time you see an instant replay, they show you what happened from every angle possible. But the referees, remarkably, are more accurate than not. That's how good they are. So the referees, like in our sport, are vital to the game. We couldn't play a basketball game where you called your own fouls. I mean, it's just not going to happen, right? So, but it takes 3 in the NBA, so it's a little.
Hey, Pete, I'm going to give you a question here. I just thought of.
Yeah.
If I'm going to give you a trio of players, which of the following, if they could call a foul on themselves, would do so because of their character? David Robinson. He's the first person I thought of. Let's go with David Robinson. Let's go with Grant Hill, and let's go with Jerry West.
Oh, wow. I'd go a tie between David and Grant. Jerry was a great friend of mine and very, very, very honest.
Sure.
But he's not gonna admit that he fouled. But the other 2, they're pretty honorable guys. I would say it was a tie between them.
I just thought of this because you brought him up. Well, you responded. I gave you Jerry as an option. When he hit that full court shot against the Knicks in 1970, they only counted that as a 2-pointer, but if it was a 3, they would have won that series.
Exactly. Yeah, we didn't have no 3-point shot at that time.
Yeah, that's so insane. Yeah. Guys, that's Mr. Pete Babcock's perspective. Giselle, do you have one you want to offer?
Sure. So, Howard, I have a little bit of a different opinion on refs. You likened them to the assistant director. I say they are more akin to a hybrid stage manager and storyteller. They are fully participating in the match, as you did bring out, and they're there to keep the kayfabe intact, which in storytelling is similar to the verisimilitude. Now, since you chose the referees, I thought that Avi would tell Mr. Babcock and I we would have to make the choice of going with the camera operator. So I was preparing for that. And a lot of that argument stems from what Mr. Rougeau brought up at the end. No one's saying the referees aren't important. We're asked which one is more of an unsung hero. When you're producing these events, you have to know how to work the camera so that everybody can see the story. The camera operators help make that story accessible to those watching at home. They make it so that you want to come back and see it. If they don't know how to work that camera with angles, with movements, are they in the right position at the right time? Do they need to be higher, lower? Which cams are they working at which point? How many cameras are there? They need to work in conjunction with the other camera operators. It's a production in and of itself. But then the people at home are going to miss something. They're not going to realize what happened and what was done. If you have a bad camera operator, people will end up tuning out, and that will ultimately cost the organization money because people won't
Giselle,
want.
what you're saying is they can enhance the storytelling.
Absolutely. They absolutely can. It's much like when you're shooting a pro shot. It's different when you're shooting a film and when you're shooting a pro shot from a Broadway show. When you're shooting a pro shot, you're shooting a live event. When you're shooting a wrestling match, you're shooting a live event, whether or not an audience is there or not. The people are physically on a stage, in a ring. You have to know where they are. You can't change the set. You can't take a break for a scene change and come back to a new location. You don't shoot at one location one day and one location the next day. So you have to know the setup, you have to know the dimensions, you have to know what you see in frame and what that's going to capture. And it's much like film fighting, Mr. Rougeau. What the camera sees, that's the lens you're playing to, is what that camera eye sees. So the wrestlers also need to be aware of where that camera is and what the lens is seeing, because a move will read differently if the camera is straight on, or if it's overhead, or if it's over the shoulder. So all of those play into effect, and the camera ops need to know. They need to know the shot list. They need to know where the wrestlers are moving. They also need to know the match. They're bringing the story to you at home, and they're making it more accessible to people, which makes the sport more accessible, which makes the sport more popular, which allows for more and bigger and better and development and maturation of the sport.
Yeah, and I think they're also... Go ahead, Jacques, please.
Yes, I just want to say that was a great perspective, but I want to bring something else to you, Giselle.
Of course.
The cameras are bringing the story to the people,
They are.
but the wrestlers and the referee are bringing it to the cameras.
They are.
And so the talent brings the story, and when we go into an arena, we know where the hard cameras are. We know where the far camera is. We know where the shoulder camera is, the guy with the shoulder camera. We know all that. So if there's something that happens during the match and the match is no good, you could be as good cameraman as you want, but you won't be able to show something that's not there. But if you're a good entertainer and you have bad camera crews, you could still bring something out okay. So the referee and the wrestlers are much more important than the cameras.
We're not arguing who is important. We're arguing which one's the unsung hero. But you do need, ideally, in my perfect world, everyone is working together to bring the best story.
Absolutely. Except you and me right now. But yes,
and so, yeah, no, I'm looking to bring my best story possible.
I'll tell you, Jacques, hold on, Howard. Jacques and Giselle making great points. And I thought Jacques might be a little flustered because, as you can see, since I'm on screen and you see the flyer, and we can see Giselle's flyer behind her, and Howard, it looks like there's 4 Pete Babcocks on screen right now, doesn't it?
I can't believe it.
There's Pete.
I mean, I'll say this, Giselle. One Pete Babcock.
If your entertainer messes up,
Giselle, hold on, you're killing the punchline. I was going to say one Pete Babcock is intellectually intimidating enough, but that four Pete Babcocks, I would tap. Go ahead, Giselle, please.
Oh no! If your entertainer misses a move, if they forget how the direction of the fight is going, if they get lost in the choreography, if they get lost in the story, and something happens, the camera operators can also adjust that so you don't see what you're not supposed to see.
But more likely, the referee's going to come in there that knows the storyline and is going to remind the wrestler.
Most likely.
So the referee is closer than the wrestler than your cameraman.
Okay.
Mr. Pilato, I saw your finger up there. You have something to add?
Stage manager.
One of the most iconic visuals in any match, a lot of the times, is the finale when the good guy or the bad guy, heel or babyface, puts up that belt and he is the winner. And you see these beautiful, angles, right? The wide shot, the close shot. That's gorgeous. But that moment means nothing if the victory that led up to it, which was coordinated by 2 performers and a referee, if they did not do their job, that moment means absolutely nothing. And the audience will see that in their homes as well. So
who's going to see that moment if the camera operators aren't there to catch it?
Now, Giselle, if you beat me in this topic, I'm quitting right now. I'm not even continuing.
Giselle's not giving up here.
Hey guys, speaking of referees, let's bring some referees. Hold on a second. Hold on. We got to get some referees in the form of the judges on here. So judges, let's ref this thing. Bill, who do you vote for? What?
All right, that was fun. Okay, starting with Howard, who began everything. Very good points. The referee's like the assistant director or stage manager, doesn't matter. Still doing that function, the in-ring communication, taking care of safety, the rule enforcer. He does add to the story takes care of the pacing, and to be able to read that live audience, push things along, keep the agenda moving. I like the example of Bret Hart going against Stone Cold with Shamrock as the guest referee, and how he played an important part in that match. Then Jacques comes in, and that personal touch, bringing us that, inside information was fabulous. The ref is very important, and it's important for the wrestlers and the ref to work together. Don't make the ref look stupid. I like the way you brought up how you don't want the crowd to be against the ref necessarily. If you do something not quite legit, you don't want the ref to take the heat. As you say, your brother would distract the ref and you do your thing, bada bang, bada boom. Beautiful. I've been watching wrestling since the 60s. I mean, I'm from the Bronx. You couldn't, back in those days, you couldn't walk into a pizzeria without a life-size poster of Bruno Sammartino.
Oh, my God.
And it is a whole production, the choreographed, production. And the ref has to be in the right place at the right time. If the ref doesn't do his job, the two wrestlers aren't going to come across as they should. Pete Babcock. Yes?
Go ahead, Phil. Please continue.
Oh, I'm sorry. Pete, gotta laugh. Yes, NBA needs 3 refs. Although I do remember, I remember going back to the days of the early NBA, 2 refs. And I actually watched that game on TV live, the Lakers and the Knicks, where Jerry was hit that shot. I wanted to jump out the window. I was on the first floor, so it wouldn't have mattered.
That sent the game into overtime.
It did. Yeah. And as you said, Avi, if the 3-point line had been in effect in those days, the Knicks would have lost.
Yeah.
It was a very dramatic moment. I'm glad
there would have been no Willis Reed in Game 7 walking out and boosting the morale of his teammates before Frazier dropped that 36 and 15.
Yeah. And Giselle, you did bring up some very good points. Cameramen are very important, but unless what's happening in the ring is going according to plan, then the cameras aren't going to really give you anything. But I do appreciate, the point that the cameras are very important, the angles, knowing what angle they have to be at. Working on camera is no easy thing. But bottom line, Howard did an absolutely fabulous job, but due to his personal experience, and was so happy you could share that with us, Mr. Jacques Rougeau, you have my vote.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you, Phil. Guys, we're going to tell you.
Phil.
Hey, Phil, you had a match with Rick Barry. I think we could agree that the last T-Can Celebrity Tournament match with Spencer Hayden and Rick Barry, we needed a referee for that one, if you remember.
I'm ready.
We need a ref for
Put
Rick
me
Barry,
in, Coach.
Holland,
I'm ready.
Spencer Haywood.
And I want to bring up a point.
Yes,
I just want to bring up one point about Giselle. What she brought was very important too, though. I appreciate what you said, Giselle. But there's one thing, Giselle, you got to remember too. Behind all those great cameramen, there's one that's backstage that has all the cameras in front of him. He's the editor, he's the one going, go on 3, go on 4, go on 2, go on 1. He's very, very important in a show for TV. Also, I wanted to.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Good stuff here, guys. Phil, of course, gave us his vote. Let's bring in Time. Time, who do you vote for and why?
Well, I'm definitely going to go with Jacques because of how he described the team tag that he had with his brother, and how the referee had all to do with that to make the whole scene go down the way they wanted it. But everybody else, I think at Howard, he definitely has some good points too. He hit the point where he's here. He's the back of the show. He's the front of the show. He's helping them on the side of the show. Basically, he's the assistant director, and the communication. He's the rule enforcer. He was the crucial part of the storytelling of the whole scene. Without the referee, we wouldn't have a show. So I'm going to go with Jack and Howard.
Okay, Eric concurs, and so does Eagle John. Eagle, nice to see you. So that's good. Miranda, thank you for tallying in the back. Time, I'll put you backstage. And Miranda, who do you vote for and why?
So sorry. I really appreciated Pete's perspective on the NBA and their referees as well. And Giselle put up a really good fight for the cameramen. I appreciate that also. But I'm going to go with Howard and Jacques. This time, Jacques, you took it away all the way. You were so passionate about this, and Howard gave a great explanation in leading up to opening the door for you to tell your story about how your experiences were with the referees and your brothers and everything. That was so interesting to hear kind of what was happening behind the scenes that we didn't even know about. I mean, we saw it on TV, but there's a lot going on that we didn't know about in coordination and all those types of things that gives us a really good performance. And your passion was really, really great. I can see that you love wrestling.
And Miranda, if you noticed, if it was going to go any further, Jacques was going to take out the shock stick. Well,
I love the rebuttals for Giselle. Giselle was coming, and, Giselle was going hard, but then you went harder, Jacques. You were like, no, Giselle, it's like this.
And
I really like that.
What's funny of all this is when you ask for the topics, I took singing, I took the music topic.
Music,
I didn't want to have any favorites. If I go in wrestling, it's too easy for me. I spent 43 years in wrestling. If anybody beats me at that, I'm a dingbat. So anyway, I'm thinking I'm gonna go music, But Howard, you lit me up, It's like you start bringing things into me, like holy shit, he's making half sense. Like holy crap, this is good. And then so you brought my passion out of me, Howard. I thank you very much.
And Jacques, I gotta ask you a question. You picked the music, and for the wrestling fans out there that'll get this. Are you hoping that Barry Manilow might be one of the topics of the music trivia? I see. I worked that in there, guys.
So
listen
funny.
to Jacques Rougeau's theme music. You'll understand. Guys, this was Miranda. Thank you for voting. We had a couple more votes. Yeah, this was from Power Store as well. And Howard gets Willie Wilson's vote. Jacques and Howard.
Player.
Guys,
okay.
thank you, Miranda. I appreciate you. And guys, right now we are ready to rotate this out to Giselle and her particular topic, right? So our category was poetry. I'm going to read out her topic right now. And again, we'll go backstage. This is poetry because a poet writes a poem. The nation publishes the poem. Some readers take offense. Some don't. Some go on Twitter. Some get busy describing why they don't like the poet. Some poetry editors publish it. Some are apologizing for the poem. I want to bring up Grace Schulman. She was a poetry editor of The Nation for 35 years. She wrote to express her dismay, not at poems, but at the apologies issued by her successors. She said, "Never do we apologize for a poem we publish. We see it as a part of our job to provoke our readers. It's a mission we take especially seriously." She was disturbed by the episode, and the question I have for Giselle is, as it pertains to poems, even brief lyric poems that express views and opinions, directly, indirectly, overtly, covertly, poems can satirize views and opinions. My question is this, so, should poets place limitations on their literary expressions? Or should their work be as uncensored and unfiltered as they prefer? Should poets, contemporary poets, I should say, should contemporary poets place limitations on their literary expressions? Or should their work be as uncensored and unfiltered as they prefer? That's my question for you. I'll put everyone backstage here. Mr. Collado, Mr. Rougeau, Mr. Babcock, and Giselle as well. And we will bring in our judges right now. Phil, bring you in here. Time and Miranda. Hey, guys, we're not going to talk about the upcoming topic, obviously, because our participants are backstage. But we will talk about this topic we just presented. Camera operators, referees. Which way would you have gone and why if you were presented with that, Miranda? Camera operators or referees?
It's hard to say now that I've heard it. I think I would have gone with, well, if you're saying unsung hero, I think that the referee does get more praise than cameramen. People forget the the job of the cameraman, or that they're, they forget of how much they're doing and how important the job is for the cameraman. So if we're going with an unsung hero that's not acknowledged, really, I would go with cameraman. But I do think that the referee brings a lot more to the match itself. I always felt that way. And it's very important to have the referee there in general, like Howard was saying, for safety reasons, for protocols and things that the wrestlers might be forgetting. But I don't think cameramen do get enough praise, if that makes sense. We forget that they're even there sometimes, but they're bringing us the show. So
Sure. Phil?
Yeah.
I would have gone referee because of the important role they do play. And people in the stands and watching may not realize just how important that role is, the way they keep things paced, the way they're actually part of the show. I hate to say it, but Miranda does bring up a good point that cameramen are often overlooked because you generally don't see them as much and you don't realize what they have to do. But Jacques did bring up a good point that the cameraman, how many cameras you have in an arena or wherever you are, it's all controlled by the director back in the control room. So I would have gone referee.
And time before
I take anything away from cameramen, that's a tough job.
Eagle John says, I worked for the Tops company. We made the WF wrestling cards back in the 80s and 90s. I've seen a lot of the Mountie and the Rougeau brothers. Good times back then. Thank you, Eagle John. Appreciate that. Absolutely. Power story. After hearing everyone, I would have went with the cameraman. Christopher says, poetry is interesting. Jacques. Hi, everyone. It's Natalie with Jacques' phone because mine has no battery. But no problem. Not a problem at all, guys. We are enjoying this beautiful night together. Ed says, just my opinion, poetry is art. I learned that from Gloria. Yes, rest in peace, Gloria, one of our longtime viewers, and your friend, Ed. Should be free to speak what you think. It's art. Is there no politics? There are a lot of, say really politics, but a lot of opinions that can be perceived that way in poetry. I've been making candy for 40 years. I've got Willy Wonka beat. All of you are awesome. Thank you so much. Anyone who's got Willy Wonka beat, it's an absolute joy to be here in the comments section. It's very hard to beat Willy Wonka. Poetic verse is derived from the feeling of the author. Why should they censor themselves, and why should society censor them? Great comments here. Time. Have you watched Wrestling Time? Were you a wrestling fan?
Actually, I was. I've actually been in a show. I helped escort the midget wrestlers. And that was such a riot. That was a riot. I mean, the audience was so stoked on that one. That was fun. So yeah, the referee definitely was a big key and factor on that one. Yeah, they don't give enough credit to the camera people. They definitely don't have their name up in the billboards. They don't even know who they are. I mean,
well, let me ask you this time, and only time. Who would you take in a wrestling match, Howard Collado or Giselle?
I'd like to
after
see
that.
that.
After that last exchange, I'm going with Giselle there. Guys, we're all on screen here, so here we go. Right now, we are going to ask Giselle to delve into this topic. Of course, I'm going to read this out again. I'm not going to read the entire thing. But my question is, should poets, contemporary poets, place limitations on their literary expressions? Or should their work be as uncensored and unfiltered as they prefer? Right now, Jacques and Howard will be on screen with Giselle. Mr. Pete Babcock, Phil, myself, Miranda, and Time, we're going to go backstage. And Giselle, whenever you are ready, the floor belongs to...
Sure. So the way this particular question is phrased actually begins for me with several other questions. What is poetry? What do we think of poetry? How many different forms of poetry are there? How are people writing? In more contemporary poetry, a lot of people are writing in free verse and the words don't necessarily rhyme. We also have the structure of poems, and that plays a lot into the poem's meaning as well. Now we are asking about literary expressions or literary devices. So what are those? Those are the techniques that are used to enhance the work. Techniques like metaphors, like similes, like onomatopoeia. Ways that make you see the image, ways that make you see the feeling of what the poet is trying to express. Writers write because they have something to say. And that goes from everyone from a playwright, a screenwriter, a novelist, a work of nonfiction, whether that's a biography or, as John Green's most recent book, Everything is Tuberculosis, whether that's a poem, a short story, a novella. They have something they want to express and care about deeply enough to write those words down. My playwriting professor in college often praised poets because they are so particular about that choice. That word choice is so very specific to poets because they're looking for the exact right word of what to say. Not necessarily the word that rhymes. Maybe it's a near rhyme, but even the rhyme in the meter plays into the poem's meaning. So all of that comes together to give us the idea. And if they're censoring themselves or feel pressure to censor themselves from societal forces and external forces, then we're not going to have that greatness of work. Editing is different from censoring. I'm going to repeat that. Editing is different from censoring. If you have a draft or you're working on any type of work, you do need to edit that. You don't write it, declare it one and done. That's not how any piece is remembered and added to the classics, added to the canon of literature. It goes through drafts. That's why you have many people working on it. That's why you have editors like Grace Schulman. That's why you have contests. People are pouring their literal heart and souls into the words they're putting on the page. They're using these devices to explain the esoteric, to explain the way they see the world. And that's not something that can be censored because everyone sees that differently. Jacques, you and I can go out to the park and we will see 100 different things. We would have two very different poems that arise from that experience. You might concentrate on the sky. I might concentrate on the grass. You might concentrate on the sounds. I might concentrate on the sights. And pouring those words in doesn't make it better or wrong because it's different from mine. People, like any art, it is subjective. So people aren't necessarily going to like what you write, whether it's the content, whether it's the phrasing, whether it's the meter, whether it's the imagery. Someone will always have a problem with it. That doesn't mean you should try to please everyone when you're writing these words that you feel so passionate about, that you need to put down on paper. When you start self-censoring, you lose the story. You lose the passion. What are you writing about if you have to censor yourself in the first place? Is that really saying what you want it to say? Are you really conveying the ideas that you feel like you need to convey if you're censoring yourself? Are you able to bring those ideas to audiences the way you want to? Constantly thinking about what they think about you. Or is someone going to have a problem with what I said because they don't understand it? Because maybe they haven't had the education, the background, the experiences to understand that. Maybe they haven't been fortunate enough to grow up the way you did. But then maybe they can learn from your poem. It opens their eyes. You see the world in a new way. It forces you to do some research. It forces you to understand why they would use this term, why they would use this phrase, this metaphor, this simile, this alliteration, this assonance, this consonance. Why are you putting those sounds together the way you are? Why are you putting them together in the lines that you are? Why are you using the structure that you're using? Is your poem titled or untitled? What's the reason behind that? It's not a medium that answers a lot of questions. It's the one that raises a lot of questions. And if we're centering ourselves, especially with literary expressions, that can convey those in ways that provide more imagery, that open up the mind, that expand our worldview, then we're not actually conveying our thoughts.
Thank you, Giselle. I appreciate that a lot. I really do. Hey, guys, real quickly, whether or not you're interested in some of these topics or categories, and I appreciate the fact that you guys seem to be, how amazing is it, dare I say a miracle, that we're all here, we're all in different locations, different countries, we're coming together to learn about people that we may not have heard of before, through people that we've never met before, and we're seeing on screen every week. I think it's a miracle. It's a damn near miracle, I think, at least, for us to acknowledge the fact that we are getting along, we are disagreeing while still getting along, and that's why I always say what I earn is what I learn, and that is the true value of life, is education. It's so valuable. I think we're the richest human beings alive here under this great umbrella of TKN because of everyone here in the comments section and on screen. So thank you guys for doing what you do collectively. I'm going to ask Mr. Pete Babcock if he would like to jump in on this topic.
I'll jump in, but I can't add, a whole lot because Giselle did a remarkable job. That just blew me away with it. That was so well stated.
And Pete, as someone who is I know literary works mean a lot to you as well. Just to read this to you, just to make sure our viewers who are popping in right now live, the question is, Pete, should contemporary poets, place limitations on their literary expressions, or should their work be as uncensored and unfiltered as they prefer?
Yeah, I can't really add to what Giselle said because you covered it so thoroughly and so well. My opinion is censorship is a dangerous thing, and it's really how do you ask a creative person to monitor their creativity? If you don't agree with their creativity, fine. Don't look at it, don't pay attention to it. But you can't stifle somebody's creativity because then you're taking away that creativity. It's so. I think I can't. I'm a basketball guy, right? I'm just a guy. Giselle just did it so well. I just my addition
Wait,
is I agree with
you rhymed that. You said Giselle did it so well.
You're a poet.
Right.
Turned into hobby.
Pete, let me ask you this, and of course you're much more than that. History is something that you value. We both do. And, as a professor, Pete, what? Let me ask you this question real quick before I ask Howard and Jacques if they want to jump in. What value do you place on poetry, Pete? Whether it's contemporary or classic, what kind of value do you place on it?
It's just I think it's valuable because it's a creative way to express an opinion, express a view, express feelings. We had a player, Alex English, who published several books of poetry, and I just love to read his work because it gave you a feeling of his inner thinking and how he viewed the world. So I think it's a great value to it.
Without question. Yeah, Alex English, who now is in the second round of the celebrity tournament. We will be seeing Alex very soon, a very dear friend of Pete Babcock's. Look at this. How about this? An early vote from who's this? Jacques the Mountie Rougeau. For me, Giselle equals poetry. Power Store Inc. The audacity that your opinion
She's sleeping in the living room tonight.
A very undercover, covert vote. Power Store Inc. The audacity that your opinion even matters when it comes to someone else's creative thoughts. Eagle John Jim Morrison was a misunderstood poet, from a time when mind-altering drugs brought out a lot of great songs, but weren't accepted because the main actions often on stage, but lyrics were poetry. Eric, poetry in its most basic form is a message. A misunderstood poet, Eagle John says about Jim Morrison. Okay. Sal, sometimes all we got is LOL. I'm with you right there. Why not? Makes the world go round. We need more LOLs in the world. Right now, I'm going to ask Jacques and Howard if they want to participate and jump in as well.
Howard, if you want, I'll go first because I'm going to be a lot shorter than yours, I'm sure.
Go for it.
Congratulations, Giselle. I just actually learned a lot about poetry. I'm amazed by all the things where you brought us around the world, around the planet, around the globe about poetry. It was just amazing. I didn't even think I understood the question correctly, so I'm going to say by uncensored. I thought when you were saying at the beginning of that is if the lyrics or the things where the poets talk about should be censored, like, in other words, PG, or should be like, because there's poetry could be very, very portrayed in different ways. Adult poetry, kids poetry, and so I was thinking, yes, it should be uncensored because of that. But since I was on the right train but the wrong track. So now I'm just going to go ahead and say a few things that I wanted to say. We had a wrestler in wrestling, Randy Macho Man. You know Macho Man? Oh, yeah! Macho Man's brother was Lanny Poffo, the poet. He was actually doing a poet every time he'd come to the ring. And I was always amazed. I was always amazed by his poets. And it made me laugh. It tickled me because, it rhymed. It was fun. And another thing I wanted to bring up, too, which has nothing to do with poetry, but it's because you were just so amazing. I'm not going to try to beat you on this one, Giselle, but you were so amazing. But I want to say something. I want to bring up something that I like is in this show and Saturday Night Show and all the shows you bring, Avi, I've always been fond and impressed and falling to pieces when I hear Morgan Freeman narrate. And I know it's not the same thing, narrating and a poet, but Morgan Freeman, when he comes on, his voice just like brings me somewhere. It's like, I think poetry, it could be the same thing. If you have a good poet, I think, which haven't met many, and my girlfriend on the pillow at night sometimes, but then it doesn't rhyme all the time. But anyway, I say it, poetry could bring you somewhere. But you explained poetry so amazingly and different. You dissected it so well. You were amazing. You were amazing, Giselle.
Well, thank you. If it helps, I do believe in that intro on Saturday nights. Morgan Freeman is narrating Invictus, which is a poem. So you're both right. And also knowing your audience, as you said, that is a really great way. Who are you writing for? Are you writing for yourself? Are you writing for children? Are you writing for adults? Are you writing for an academic setting? Are you writing for a creative setting?
Are you not writing at all? Are you
not writing at all? Which is a travesty.
There is such a thing. There is such a thing as poetry in motion. Sometimes you don't have to pick up that pen to create poetry. I'd like to go back to what Pete brought up about the NBA. I can mute any Michael Jordan video I've seen in my life, and it's a poem. When I see a lot of those Jordan or Dr. J highlights, or even back in the day, a Connie Hawkins, that's poem to me. That's poetry to me. Would you concur, Pete?
Absolutely, and not to change the subject here, but Jacques, you mentioned a name that registered right away with me. When I was with the Denver Nuggets, I was in my office working late one night, and our office was in McNichols Arena, and all of a sudden a maintenance man comes down the hallway, and he's got two guys with him, and he says, "Hey, these guys want to know if you'd open the weight room because they want to pump up before they go out and perform." It was Randy,
Macho Man,
and Hulk Hogan.
Wow.
They both want to know if it let them in the weight room so they could pump up
Wow.
before they went out into the rig. So I
Pete,
got
can I
to
ask you,
pump
did you
both of-
proceed? Did you proceed to say no and slam the door?
No. I walked with them down to the weight room. They were both very, very nice, very gracious. I waited while they got pumped up, and then I locked up the weight room.
Well, actually, Pete, to be honest with you, you were the nice guy because, when we go to arenas sometimes, we like to pump up and oil up and do all that things to make us look good under the lights.
Yeah.
And you gave them an opportunity to do that. And I'm sure they appreciated it very much, I'm sure.
Okay. Sorry to get off topic. But
Pete, can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a
love
question? We're speaking about a lot of moments in time that have been important. 80 years ago, the end of World War II, 50 years ago, the end of the Vietnam War, 40 years ago, would either Randy Macho Man Savage and Hulk Hogan been helpful in your matchup against the Lakers in '85?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, you guys won in LA. You won in LA.
We won game 2 by 20.
Yeah.
Then we went home and we lost an overtime game, and Alex broke his hand, and
That's right.
we weren't going to beat them anyway because they were Showtime, but we did scare them just a little bit.
I could just see you, Pete. I could just see you in the stands going like this.
I could see that. I could see that. Absolutely. Hey, Pete, didn't you guys go through San Antonio that year too?
Yeah, we did. We did beat San Antonio, then we beat Utah, and then went to the Western Conference Finals against the Lakers.
Speaking of San Antonio, guys, I do want to play this. I promised him I would. A really cool moment with a ex-legend, not only a legendary Spur and a Chicago Bull, but a Kentucky Colonel as well in the ABA. This was Saturday night, Mr. Artis Gilmore, guys and gals. And now I want to bring in Mr. Artis Gilmore and then Michaela Skinner. Artis, my friend, as I've officially let my hair down during during this heat wave we're experiencing over here, which I got to tell you, I love it. As my dad would say, it's all right, Avi, it's going to make a man out of you. But we didn't sleep with air conditionings on purpose, and I didn't know why. We were doing okay, but he was just, I don't know. To this day, I actually do know why. I think he did that because he said, I went through something that I want you to go through, and you'll understand why later on when you become a parent. That makes sense, right, Artis?
Absolutely. And Evie, I like to go back, travel back in time. You're talking about air conditioning. Wow. I remember delivery of ice, just the ice.
Wow.
No refrigerator, no electricity, just those things. And man, you think about the hot days, air conditioning. Oh, forget that.
Right.
Open up the window and which was not with pane, but just wooden windows. So
it's amazing what you've been through, my friend. And that's the thing about your life, that it's what you went through. But then, because, again, growing up in the Florida Panhandle during an age of segregation, I mean, let's think about this for a second. For those that don't understand, I mean, not just having no clothes, no food, no shoes, because you didn't have those either. You would see tears in your mom's eyes because as much as she was doing, she felt like she hadn't done enough. But you guys never lacked love.
Absolutely. And that's always the bonding. And as Michaela says, she's a strong Christian, and so have I. But to have that positive image and believe and have faith in something, that is the one thing that really carries you and allow you to be able to move forward. As Robert shared, that it is so important to have that one aspect of your life that it's going to allow you to put one foot in front of the other.
So well said. So well said. And it resonates for me. Sometimes I think I do this because I'm the student every time I'm here.
Can you please just hear me out?
And look at this. Look what we're getting right here.
Ads.
Ads.
The same. Monday.com is the one you'll actually.
There we go. Sorry, Artis. I'm learning.
Mm.
And I think no matter, it sounds cheesy, but I always say I'd rather be sappy than cynical in life. But what I earn is what I learn. What I earn is what I learn. You know what I mean? Monetarily speaking, it's great to write for a living for an amazing studio. It's one of the best in the planet. Sure, I feel honored to be part of a select group. But to be able to do this, that was never financially motivated. I did this because I didn't want to be some podcaster, but I wanted to be able to remind people that you're not in a box just because you're an NBA Hall of Famer, an ABA Hall of Famer. and Robert's an award-winning actor, and Michaela is a many times over a medalist and just incredible talent. You guys are like not in a box. You're not under a microscope for the world to observe through their lens. We have stories we can share that are similar. And then by the time the second segment is over, I'll share with you a story. These guys over here, Progresso Soup, I've been so entrenched in these stories, I forgot to even mention these guys. Progresso Soup. Here's a 4-pack, guys and gals and pals who are watching. I recommend that even in the summer, store some away because you never know if you will need some soup in the wintertime. Now, artists, I want to say this. I have an executive here that I speak to all the time who says, I've noticed that by the second segment, I'm not really thinking about the resumes anymore. And I'm like, bingo, that's it. It's not about the resume at that point. It's about your humanity. And I want to tell you this as I do over the phone when we talk a lot. It takes 5 seconds to realize how patient you are, how understanding you are, how empathetic you are, how you listen to other people, how you bring them up to here, which is pretty rare because you're 7'2", but you still bring them up to your level. And you do it with such
shrinking man now.
You do it with such ease. And I just want to tell you that I'm proud to call you a friend, and I'm honored to get to understand and get to know your humanity, my friend.
AB, thank you so very much. It's been and just a joy and a pleasure and just a thrill to be here and to listen to you speak, man. It kind of remind me of one of my friends was share about the Tip O'Neill, the Speaker of the House, and
Sure.
what a smooth voice he had. And you, that image, AV, just your voice and the way you project everything and share with your heart and
Thank you.
soul. You got an incredible gift as well.
Guys, I want to say this to you about Artist Gilmore, who I know Pete Babcock knows well. I played that also because Artist will be here on Wednesday nights, guys. Artist is going to be part of our team challenge, and he will be a permanent fixture as a judge because that's what he wants to do. He will be judging a lot of these matchups from now on. Glad to have him here. And Pete, it'll be kind of cool to reconnect with Artist, right?
That'd be great. That'd be fun. Yeah, he's a wonderful person.
Absolutely. So, Artist, welcome to the team challenge. Glad to have you here as a judge, starting as early as next week. Howard,
nice.
Anything you want to do to jump in on this topic? I didn't ask you, my friend. And then, guys, we got one more and we're out of here. The music trivia goes pretty fast because it's a music trivia thing. So self-explanatory. I ask questions there. You got to answer them. Howard, do you want to jump in? We were doing poetry, right? Yes. Do you feel as if, Howard Collado, in your particular opinion, do you feel as if contemporary poets should place limitations on their expressions, or should their work be as uncensored, unfiltered as they prefer?
Sure. Great question. I'm going to play devil's advocate. Now, Giselle, would you consider rap music poetry?
Yes.
Okay, as well, right?
Yes.
And there was a famous song in the 80s by a band called NWA. Now, it's a song by the title of F the Police. Now, I completely understand why they wrote this song. What was happening to the African American community in California was horrific. And I understand the rage that song has. I understand the angst of that song. And I do believe that we should live in a country that allows you to create that song. My worry, or here's more of the question. If there is a child listening to that song that can't put it in the proper context and just completely adheres to, yes, F the police, and I'm going to take action too because I saw my friends get beaten up and blah, 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 blah. What do we do with that individual? Now, before you answer, there was something called the PMRC in 85 by Tipper Gore. And it was a whole hearing where they decided to put essentially, labels on certain CDs.
Parental control, Howard. Yeah.
Parental control. I'm sorry. Yes, thank you, Avi. Parental control. But actually, it had the opposite effect. The minute that a consumer saw this on a CD, it's like, oh, now I want to buy it because this is taboo. Ooh, I'm not supposed to hear this. So I guess my question is, that child that's not being told, no one's coming around and putting the song in proper context for them. What happens to that kid?
Were you referring to Rodney King?
No, not particularly. I'm talking about just in general, that child who's listening to this song and is advocating for it, but they either are too young or...
So, Howard, correct me if I'm wrong. You're saying it might be irresponsible. You're saying this. I'm not saying I am or anybody else is, and maybe you're not even saying this. But what I got out of that is that you're saying the poet is at least partially responsible for what they put out based on how a child might interpret the poem?
Yeah. If that child decides to take actions on their
Giselle?
own hands, is NWA.
Okay, so we propose that to Giselle. If you want to respond, feel free.
Ratings aren't a new thing in media. The MPAA has been rating movies and films for decades, but that's a whole other can of worms. We also have these ratings on video games. They are there to guide people as to the maturity level of what that content is. And there are some people who are going to say no matter what label is on that, it's going to be a hard no, no matter what. And many children are always going to rebel against that no matter what. I rebelled in a literary fashion in high school. This is the kind of rebel I am. They removed a book from the reading list the year I was going on. The year before me read a certain novel. They removed it from the reading list when my grade was moving up to that year. And I was like, got to go out and read this book. My junior year English teacher wanted to add a book to the required reading list. Administration told her no. I said, I'm going to go out and buy that book. I don't think it's a bad thing for that. But again, it's going back to knowing your audience. The artist didn't write it for that child. The child came upon it. And when did the child come upon it? Did they come upon it at an age where they can understand it? Did they come upon it at an age where they can understand but don't have the tools to understand it due to education or family life, how they grew up? It's the creator didn't create the poem for that person. They didn't create the song for that person. They didn't create the media for that person. They created the media either for themselves or for a certain audience and to reach that. The fact that it reaches other people is a good thing because then it makes people question. It expands their minds. It opens their worldview. Why is this happening the way it's happening? A good influence on that child is someone who can say, okay, this is how we're going to break it down to you at this level. Reddit has explained it like I'm 5 questions all the time. So you start at that basis. Where is this person? What can they understand? Let's start there, and then let's expand on that knowledge. You don't take it away from them, and then they never get to have it and access it because that creates more problems down the road. You sit down with that person, and you explain, this is how this works. If you're the parent of a child and you're on the subway or you're taking a trip, this is how many stops we have before we get off. This is what a map looks like. So you're providing the roadmap to the lyrics, to the content, to the language, and how that affects the history of why this piece of media came about.
Howard and Jacques, please go ahead.
Please, I just want to bring something up. I'm sure I'm going to hit a string for all of you guys. I listened to it's not a poet, but it's a song. But it hit me like a ton of brick. And to my surprise, I've been listening to it ever since I've heard it. But during the halftime of the Super Bowl, there was a song called "Not Like Us," brought in from a black rapper or a black singer. I don't know if you know the song that I'm talking about, "Not Like Us." Where do you know what song, Pete? Do you hear the song? Do you know the song? No,
I'm not sure.
I'm going to tell you something. When you listen to that song, you're going to remember it because they're saying in that song, they're talking like, and this is, don't put me out of context now. It comes up about 1,000 times, and the racist in there, it seemed to me, it came across like it's like almost the black people just exploded with their sayings and their things that they don't say normally, like, that'll be edited or something like that. I think you need, Pete, to listen to that song, "Not Like Us." Go on YouTube. And I love the song. I love it. I dance on it. I had my Montana, my 3-year-old grandson today. We're dancing on it. But I know I'm glad he doesn't understand all the words. But it's like, Giselle, do you know what song I'm talking about?
I don't know this song, but also what a wonderful teaching moment for your grandsons. And you, if he has questions about this, now you can tell him this is a word that people used. This is how they used it. This is how this group is trying to claim that word. Whether or not we agree with the use of that word, they have the right to use it in their song.
It's not only the word; it's the philosophy. It's the story. You need to. Howard, did you know that song? Not Like Us.
They're putting it in the comment section. Sal, I believe it's by Kendrick Lamar. And
it shocked me. The song shocked me. You guys, I love it. I love the beat. I love everything. But am I wrong here, Howard, to say that I'm shocked by that song?
Yeah, and I think it's meant to be constructively shocking. And like Giselle said, when you put that song in its proper context, there's a particular reason and justification why the use of that word is occurring. But see, my concern is when there isn't that person in the household who's able to give that context. Historically, statistically, in the inner cities between Latinos and African Americans, we're coming from a lot of single parent households. I did too. I'm grateful I had sisters.
What makes you think I didn't?
I don't know. We could talk about it as well, right? I didn't know that necessarily, right? I'm working at a school. Okay, I'll give you a quick example. This is something new to me because my group of kids didn't do this, but we have 2 schools that are now formed. My co-teachers are dealing with some of their kids that are throwing crypt gang signs. And thank God that now as teachers, we could go in there and give them the context as to why those signs can be really dangerous. But if we don't have that dialogue or there's no one there, they're just throwing these signs out in the street, and God forbid, something really dangerous could happen. So I guess my concern is always that, yes, if someone is there to give that individual some context, amazing. I just worry about the kid who doesn't have.
Well, again, poetry is a form of rebellion. And maybe what we should do is understand what a person's rebelling against. Maybe it starts from that. Instead of questioning what we're listening to, what we've read, understand where it comes from, why it's being communicated, and understand that the individual is communicating it for a reason. It takes a lot of courage to communicate and express something. So maybe we shouldn't look at it as a whole so much as really just, I said, if you put it under a microscope and focus on the individual more so than their whole message, that's probably the best way to look at it. Because there's a reason why somebody's writing something down in any form, whether it's lyric, whether it's a line in a screenplay, like I think Giselle brought up, doesn't necessarily matter. They're expressing it because they feel as if they probably don't want to become prisoners of their past. It's better to become the architect of your future. The best way to do that is to express yourself in the present. Guys, let's bring up some of your comments, and then we will get our judges to vote as quickly as they possibly can. Thank you. I got a nice little poem here from Eagle John I want to read. This is a nice poem here. We all know a man named Klein, whose programs are always so fine. When the guests are stupendous and the topics are tremendous, we all appreciate TKN time. Eagle John. Absolutely. Rodney Dangerfield could not have said it better himself. Thank you so much for that, Eagle John. Maybe not having to understand it all or just relate to it. Guys, some great comments there in the comment section. We appreciate that as well. If you don't know what I'm talking about regarding Dangerfield, there were a couple of HBO specials where he rapped in his set. You got to check them out. They're amazing. If you have not lived this life experiencing a Rodney Dangerfield rap, you haven't lived at all. All right, guys, let's get these votes here as quickly as we can. Bill, who do you vote for and why?
All righty. That was nice. Giselle, I love the way you brought all that detail, that background. I really appreciate that. People write with different styles. Poetry can have different formats. The bottom line is that the person is writing something that they want to write about. And censoring would take away that passion. Just as simple as that. It's the heart and soul. Now, you can't please everyone. And if you try to censor yourself, you're going to lose the focus and the meaning.
Phil, you're a New Yorker. Should we censor Knicks basketball, Phil?
No.
Mr. Babcock,
I've been a Knicks fan.
No? Okay, all right. Yeah, you've been a Knicks fan since how long? That's your problem.
A true fan sticks with their team no matter how much they suck.
Right.
I've been a Yankees fan, Rangers fan,
yeah,
New York Giants fan all my life. Oh, how I have suffered. But getting back to this wonderful topic, Mr. Babcock did make a very important statement that if you try to censor the work, the creativity goes away. You stifle creativity by censoring. Jacques, I agree. Every Saturday when we hear Morgan Freeman, it's amazing. And you're right that the story can bring you somewhere. Very good point. I would appreciate you.
And if you can, just due to time constraints, my friend.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Everybody added some very good points, but Giselle nailed it.
Okay, Phil, thank you for your vote, my friend. Appreciate that. Let's bring in time again due to time constraints, my friend. Who do you vote for and why?
This one was no brainer. This was definitely going to Giselle. She had it on point. She put it on every various level. Like she went with different ways that you could see it and feel it in the past and the future and how we expressed it. The word choices that you use in the poetry, she used for the whole poem. That made the whole poem what it was. She comes back to bring it all together in the same idea of literacy and editing it in different ways of how censorship has come later. She just hit every point that there was on this subject. She knows poetry.
Look at this, Tom.
She
I
definitely
concur.
gets my vote.
One of our participants in this tournament is Stevie Ray. He just texted me. He says, I see Pete Babcock on screen. He's one of the greatest GMs of all time. Is it okay if I could do a side deal and trade for his teammate? But look at this. Stevie's asking for a trade in the team challenge.
No.
No.
Not available on trade.
My gosh, Time, I thank you so much for your input.
It's not
as
the
well.
NBA.
The judges are doing great over here with their perspectives. And Miranda, if you can please give us your vote as well, please.
So I really appreciated everyone's input on this. It was great. Howard brought up some good questions about, parental guidance or some kind of adult guidance for the children on these types of more controversial topics in poetry and music, etc. But I think Giselle really took all of this home. She was very passionate about the subject. She brought up different types of styles and why it's so important for poetry to be able to have people be able to speak their mind through poetry, be able to convey their emotions through poetry, because if not, then what would be the point? It's supposed to be a space where you can be free and you can, express yourself. So there shouldn't be a censorship on that. And adults should be able to communicate that to children as well about the meaning behind certain poems or music.
I agree. Yeah, it comes from the parents, of course. Sure, educating them on the do's and the don'ts, what to listen to, what to read, perhaps, and never watch the Knicks. Miranda, thank you for your vote. We appreciate that. And I want to read this from Eagle John. I tip my hat to Dangerfield and the late comedian. I get no respect as a child. Eagle John says, I had so many pimples I fell asleep in the library, and a blind man was reading my face. Look at this. Interesting stuff. I remember that from Dangerfield. I remember that. He quoted Rodney there. Guys, here's how it's going to work with music trivia. Let's bring all the judges in on screen. So I'm tallying where things stand. Okay, so this is close. This is real close between, I look at the point differential here. We're looking at 4. So the way this is going to work with music trivia is it's kind of fast. It's sort of a lightning round type deal. If Jacques is able to get 3 out of 6, based on the tally, based on the votes, he and Howard will have won tonight. If Jacques is able to get 3 out of 6. If not, the opposing team can steal, and we'll see how far they go. They will be given 10 questions. Jacques will be given 6. Jacques, here we go, my friend. Here are The musical, and they're all multiple choice here. Jacques,
You got it.
we are delving into musical trivia. It's our final topic, and then we're going to get out of here. What 1980s pop singer, and if you know the answer, guys, don't help out. In the comment section, don't help out. What 80s pop singer won a 2013 Tony for Best Original Score for music for Kinky Boots? Was it Madonna, Cyndi Lauper, Whitney Houston, or Pat Benatar?
Just because of the title, I don't know. I'm going to say Cyndi Lauper.
Was the right answer. Jacques got it. Cyndi Lauper. Let's tally this. Let's tally that. That's one. Jacques needs two more, and he and Howard have won tonight. We have another one for you, Jacques. Let me see if I can scroll down here.
Tallied in the votes?
Yes, if you can.
Okay.
That's one. Yes. Okay, this is for Mr. Rougeau.
Let's see.
I got lucky, guys.
No luck.
Okay, as I scroll down. Here we go. What Canadian singer was rocking in the free world with the release of his 89 album Freedom? Leonard Cohen, Gordon Lightfoot, Neil Young, or Bryan Adams?
Leonard Cohen.
The right answer was Neil Young. Neil Young was the right answer. Rocking in the free world.
I know it wasn't Bryan Adams because I know all his songs.
Yes.
I know it wasn't him. I know it wasn't him.
I knew that one.
Good shape. Four more. Classic record label boasted the acts Diana Ross and the Supremes and Marvin Gaye. Was it Atlantic Records, Capitol Records, Sun Records, or Motown Records?
Motown
would be the right answer. Guys, Jacques needs one more, and he and Howard
Hard one.
will have one tonight.
Can't mess with the Soul Train.
What pop singer refers to her fans as little monsters? Katy Perry, Beyonce, Lady Gaga, or Rihanna?
Lady Gaga
would be the right answer, guys. One more to go, and this is a victory for Team Jacques and Howard. One more to go. Okay, here we go. What country singer never wore a cowboy hat on stage? Never. Was it Willie Nelson, Johnny Cash, George Jones, or Merle Haggard?
It's got to be one of the last two.
Willie Nelson, Johnny Cash, George Jones, or Merle Haggard?
Mr. Jones.
Guys, George Jones is the answer. Jacques Rougeau and Howard Collado have won tonight.
Wow.
Musical trivia for Jacques Rougeau. Crushing it with musical trivia. Hey, guys, before we get out of here, victory speech, anything you want. But how about this? Jacques and Howard, anything you want to let Pete and Giselle know, please.
We bad.
I mean, come on, we all saw it. You know, Pete, they're a lethal theme. There's a reason Stevie Ray was texting you what he did.
Yes, right, exactly.
You know, I want to say something while you're all there. You know, you guys, the judges, everybody, Avi backstage. This is an amazing time in my life. I look forward to every Wednesdays and every Saturdays, and I don't care if I win or lose. I really don't care. I'm just having such a great time in history, learning, and it's amazing. You guys are just amazing. I want to say that.
Thank you so much, my friend. Pete Babcock, any thoughts, my friend, to the panel or anyone you'd like?
I was going to ask you, Avi, a trivia question.
Yeah.
Okay. Music trivia. Jan and Dean, the longest song title.
The longest song title? Wait, you're asking me what is the longest song title?
What was the longest song title?
I think it's Black Hawk War.
No. The title of the song, Jan and Dean, the Anaheim Azusa Cocamongo Sewing Circle Book Review and Timing Association. That was the title. That was the title of the song.
Guys, I'm talking to my own judges here in my headphones, my earpiece here. Pete Babcock just got 87 points. So Pete Babcock and Howard. I did not know that. Pete, my friend, did you have a nice time tonight, my friend?
I had a great time. I love seeing everybody every time we're on. It's always fun. I learned a lot, like always, and Giselle carried me again. So it's she's untradeable.
Giselle,
so tell Stevie Ray, no, there's no chance. There's no trade's going to be made.
Not going to happen. Even if there's some first-round draft picks being offered, right? Nothing.
No. Some people can't be traded.
There you go, untradeable. Giselle, speaking of which, any thoughts that you want to share with us regarding the panel?
Well, likewise, Mr. Babcock, you definitely bring something out of me that helps in the competition format of this, and I enjoy being your teammate and being on here with you any chance we have. And also, go read Pete Babcock's Facebook post because they are so educational and entertaining, and he brings up the most wonderful people that if you haven't learned about them, I don't know why you haven't. He's going to let us all know about them.
Oh gosh, there's so much information there on Mr. Pete. He educates us. Speaking of unsung heroes, thank you for shining a light on so many, Pete, on your post. So many unsung heroes there that we should really educate ourselves on. Howard, any thoughts you want to share with the panel before we get out of here?
No, just grateful to be here with Pete, Jacques, Giselle, the awesome judges, you, Avi, these amazing topics. Holy cow. So I'm grateful. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Judges, Miranda, Phil, Time, jump in. Anything you want to tell the panel or our viewers? The floor is yours real quick, and then we will sign off.
This was super fun. Thank you for everybody who tuned in, and everyone did an amazing job tonight. Congratulations, Howard and Jacques.
Thank you, Kara. This was so much fun tonight. Again, I learned a lot. Watching you four, do your thing was so satisfying.
I agree.
I thank you very much.
I agree. Absolutely. Time. Thank you for appearing here for the first time.
It's been a pleasure. It's been such a pleasure working with you guys tonight as a judge. I'm very excited about this. This has been so much fun. Thank you
so much. And guys, again, Saturday night, 4th of July weekend, we've never done this, but if you like the team challenge, we've got a brand new match on Saturday night, this Saturday, July the 5th, 8 p.m. Eastern time on this channel. And once the 4th of July weekend is over, the following Saturday, the 12th, we've got our 250th episode. And then the TCAN Celebrity Tournament round number 2 is nearing its final lap. With this particular match, the next TCAN Celebrity Tournament matchup we have on that Saturday night. Don't look at the date. It's going to be changed to July 19th. Look at this lineup. Baseball Hall of Famer Brett Saberhagen, WWE Hall of Famer Jake the Snake Roberts, NBA legend Antonio Davis, and a mystery NHL Hall of Famer. 4 participants. 4. 3 out of 4 will move on to round number 3. That's where Jacques Rougeau and Pete Babcock reside, and Giselle, they're in round 3. So, guys, again, the final lap of round number 3. Round number 2 is upon us. This match you see on screen will take place July 19th. July 12th is our 250th episode. And, of course, that's going to be a special on location. And this Saturday night, July the 5th, a team challenge episode. Check out the posts of the Howard Colados, the Giselles, all the amazing hosts, and they will let you know as early as tomorrow what you can look forward to on this particular Saturday. For Pete Babcock, Jacques Rougeau, Giselle, Howard Colado, Miranda, Phil Justin, Time Allen, Eagle John, and Rodney Dangerfield and his spirit and everybody else, thank you for joining us tonight on the Team Challenge.